And this is the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. The A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show is powered by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Advanced Medical Imaging, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel.
Come on.
Get up and get loud, Husker fans. The A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show starts now.
Yes, happy game day. It is not Saturday. It is Friday. We are 3 hours away from kickoff in Minneapolis, Nebraska. Minnesota Huskers trying to get bowl eligible by mid-October in a place they have not won for quite some time. 5 straight losses to the Gophers for Nebraska. But 5-1 start to the year. Huskers trying to get it done. We're joined now by my co-host, Steve Sipple of Husker Online from Minneapolis. Sip, good afternoon. How's your day been in the Twin Cities since we talked to you this morning on early break?
Relax. We went back to that same restaurant, Cove.
Again?
Yeah, for lunch. It was really good. I slept, kind of caught up on my sleep, took a shower, going good.
Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised you went back to the same place because that's kind of what you do. But, if it was good, I cannot push back on that.
Yeah, why would you push back on that?
I'm just saying it's a little weird, but you do you, and that's fine. Happy for you. I'm
you
glad
want
the
to go
meal was
at
good.
it on this? We'll go at it.
No, we're not going at it. We're going to – there's more things to go at it than going to the same restaurant back-to-back days.
You really want some? I'm here.
Yeah, bring it. Let's do it. Let's do it on the air. We are less than 3 hours away from Nebraska, Minnesota. We talked to Ryan Burns of 24/7 Sports this morning on the show. He was great, by the way. If you missed that, go check out the podcast on early break. He didn't seem exactly very confident in Minnesota's chances to win this game tonight.
No, he didn't. This is not. They're not great up front, Jake.
No.
I mean, they're not. This is not typical Minnesota. They're not really great up front on either side. It's my read is it's more it is. It's more profound on offense. I mean, statistically and otherwise. You heard him what he said. They've used 3 different combinations up front on offense. In the last 3 games?
Yep.
Or 5. I don't know. They've used a bunch of different combinations on the offensive line. Their main running back, Darius Taylor's been hurt. They're not running the ball effectively. It's weird. It's like Wisconsin and Minnesota in the same year can't run it very well. It's odd. They usually have big offensive lines that control the game. They don't. They're not. And the other thing about Minnesota, I think that's sort of underplayed in this is they're not athletic in the back end, Jake. So I think, I think Nebraska's pretty athletic at receiver now. I think there'll be a lot of yards that way. The only thing I'd say, though, is Fleck is 6-1 against Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And, Jake, I threw out kind of a wild score, and I kind of regret it because you know what could happen here, right?
You predicted a high-scoring Nebraska win. This is a game right now that's a 7.5-point favorite for the Gophers in a place Nebraska struggled with, in a Friday night game where the nation's watching. But are you going back in your predictions that you're telling me?
Oh, I wouldn't say I'm going back, but what I was going to say, what can happen is what happened the last time here is they just bleed, Minnesota just bleeds clock and plays it conservative, keeps the score low, and then tries to steal it in the end, right?
Yep.
Like they did in the last time they were here, Rule's first year. So, yeah, I should have been more mindful of PJ Fleck, who, by the way, we just saw him walking through we were staying at the Minnesota team hotel, the Westin in Edina. He just walked through the lobby. I'm in a car now, though. We're heading toward the stadium.
Okay. Did he seem like he was in good spirits?
No, he seemed really locked in.
Okay.
He didn't even look up. I think that if you're PJ Fleck and you're in a hotel lobby, you probably don't look up, right?
Probably not.
Somebody's going to say something, right?
Probably not. Yes, this is again. Nebraska is trying to. Last year they were 5-1, and they went to Indiana and got beat 56-7. That led to a 4-game skid. Nebraska finally got bowl eligible with the win at home against Wisconsin late November. Now, this team has higher goals, Sip, than just making a bowl game. They want to get to 9, 10 wins, they're still theoretically in the playoff conversation, which if you believe it or not, they're a playoff team. They're in the conversation. But if they were to win tonight, get to 6-1, does your mind go to a place at all regarding the season, or is it just, hey, this is a game they're supposed to win the game?
Kind of both. I do think it's a game they're supposed to win, but yeah, I think you begin to allow yourself to think that way if you haven't already. Mainly because then the next game is at home and really winnable, right?
Right.
And so you start thinking about 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then now you're kind of in business, right? Then you just got this. If that's the way it plays out, then you have this monster game against USC, and you kind of hope for an 11 a.m. kickoff, which is very possible. And then you're kind of like, I look at it, Jake, like then you've caught another break. This schedule's it's just one big thing you have to take advantage of, and that would just be another sort of thing that falls into place for you. So, but anyway. Tonight is tonight. You don't look too far beyond there. You don't look beyond it at all because of what we just said. Fleck has won 5 straight against this team. He knows how to do that. And you know what? Now that we're mentioning Fleck, he's probably the main reason that if you're a Minnesota fan that you're optimistic because he knows how to manage a game.
Yeah, and we talked to Ryan Burns this morning at Minnesota 24/7 Sports, and he was labeling. He got this from Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings, the Minnesota Moving Company, which is the offensive line for the Gophers. They've had their way in years past with Nebraska. Running on the ground, whether it's Mo Ibrahim or even going back to before that, and even after that, Minnesota typically has ran the ball effectively against Nebraska. Now, last game, Darius Taylor, their back, had 18. I guess as a team they had 18 carries for 30 yards. We don't expect that kind of defense by Nebraska, but it would be disappointing if they were to find their way in the run game against Nebraska. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, it would be, Jake. I mean, no, you're exactly right. Why can't Nebraska do what Purdue did? The reason would be that Darius Taylor maybe is more healthy. Who knows on that, right?
Right.
You heard Ryan say soft tissue injury. I don't know what that is exactly. You just think about Maryland was last in the league in rushing, and they got 130 yards on the ground on 30 carries, and the numbers are the numbers. You saw the game; they looked pretty good running it.
Yep.
I didn't expect Maryland. I mean, stats are stats, and they matter, but I just thought they just looked good running it, and I didn't. You don't want that to happen. That all of a sudden Darius Taylor's like on the outside zone is getting 7 yards, 6 yards, 4, 7, 6. Then you're just like, well, okay, what? Now that changes the whole picture. It changes the whole way I would look at the game. If they do that, then any big margin sort of out the window.
Yeah, and again, you don't want to be the team that, hey, Nebraska got, they righted the wrong against Nebraska. That's been the case too many times for teams, whether they were struggling passing or running or just even stopping the run or pass. Nebraska's too often been the team that broke that team's, bad run. Minnesota has issues now for a couple games. Nebraska needs to, if they are actually a top 25 team, which they are ranked, is to emphasize this is a struggle for Minnesota and be better than even Purdue was. Purdue had 253 rushing yards against Minnesota in the loss to them last week. Nebraska just had a great performance from Emmett Johnson with 177 on the ground. He's going back to his home state where they never really recruited him that closely. You'd like to see him prove that, hey, that was legitimate. I am truly a top 2 back in the Big Ten. And, and we can run as a football program as well.
Yeah, I agree. Now Purdue benefited. I think their quarterback, his name Ryan Brown, got 60 yards rushing. So he's kind of throw that out. Nebraska's not going to get 60-yard rushing from the QB. But I think 200 is a reasonable goal, right, for Nebraska on the ground. Might be a little high. I think Minnesota is their rush defense. I get it. Purdue got them. Purdue gouged them, but their rush defense is top 30.
Right.
And they'll look different. Hey, Jake, they'll look different than Purdue. They will. They're bigger, better tackling, stronger team. But I think the yards will be tougher. But, 175 on the ground, 200, I think that's achievable.
Yeah. Now, in terms of, by the way, Steve Sipple with us from Minnesota, head of the Huskers Gophers in just under 3 hours in Minneapolis on Fox, if you're watching on TV tonight. Now, last game, we saw a true roller coaster from your quarterback. 4 touchdowns from Raiola, a big fourth quarter, but really struggled in the second and third quarters with 3 picks, including one for a pick 6 that made it 31-24 Maryland. Now, he was really good the first several games this year, but that's 5 picks the last 3 games. As we talked to Ryan Burns this morning, he said, if Minnesota's going to win, they need to have him, throw picks, and for Minnesota to be, plus in terms of the turnovers. If you are Dana Holgorsen, is there something you can do to make him limit those mistakes, or is that just, hey, be a better quarterback, make better decisions, Dylan?
That's a question. That's a good question. Yeah, I think there's, Jake, there's things that play. I mean, you don't see it with your woeful Dolphins franchise, but there's things.
Woeful's right. Yes, thank you for that description. That's actually very kind of you. Woeful is generous for them. They're worse than that.
What I'm suggesting is, yeah, I think there's things a play caller can do to minimize risk, or maybe a better way to say is just get your quarterback in a rhythm and get him operating at, his full potential. It doesn't have to be always minimizing risk. You kind of hate to hear that, actually, but yeah, I think that the way a guy calls a game can help. Jake, I do think it's more about Dylan, though. I think it's just Dylan being mindful. Throw the ball away. If it's not there, don't. I know those guys, like Dylan, that have big arms and kind of a gunslinger mentality. They want to take some chances, but you can also just resist the temptation, right?
Yes.
And Jake, there's nothing wrong with a quarterback going into a game with a sort of global look, which is this. You've kind of said it. The best chance Minnesota has to win this game is to intercept passes.
Yep.
Force turnovers. And if you say force turnovers, the first thing you think of is intercept passes because of Dylan, because 5 in the last 3 games. So think globally. I mean, he's a young guy, but I would tell him, think globally. If we don't turn it over, we're probably going to be in good shape. If you just play a sound game and make good decisions, you don't have to do anything crazy. Just don't put us in harm's way.
Yeah, and that's why
you can throw 1 and maybe 2, but just watch what the hell you're doing, because it could cost us the game.
I hate to bring this up because it's not the same team, but Matt Rule's very first game at Nebraska was at Minnesota on a Thursday night, and Nebraska, if you watch the game, appeared to be the better football team. They lost that game because Jeff Sims in part had 4 turnovers. I think he had either 4 picks or 3 picks and a fumble, but he had 4, and they were very, very, very costly to a team that appeared to be the better team in that football game. You cannot give Minnesota that type of mojo, that type of momentum with giving the ball away. And again, yes, we know 5 picks the last 3 games is bad, but Nebraska this year has been very good in terms of the turnover margin in general.
Yeah, I think they're +1.
At least
overall.
Respectable, not great, but respectable.
Oh, no, that's good. That's good. No, I mean, circling back a little bit, Jake. Yeah, that game, that Rule game that first game at Minnesota was just the formula that I imagine Minnesota will use tonight. They're just counting on, you got to count on forcing turnovers, count on Nebraska making mistakes, maybe even an unforced error, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hang around. And really the nauseating part of it is if, like Fleck would verbalize to his team, just hang around. They'll make some mistakes. I hope Nebraska's kind of over that. I think that's a kind of a Ferenc kind of narrative. Just hang around. School be Nebraska,
Yeah.
And let's not do that. I mean, don't make it that way. You don't have to. Be careful. So, the fumble bug hasn't really bit Nebraska much. Don't let that happen. And again, just Dylan, do your thing. but be very mindful of the turnover issue.
Now, Nebraska has had some explosive plays in terms of not really the longest throws, but plays yards after the catch. I think Ryan Burns pointed out Nebraska's like 1,000 yards or something like that after the catch this year, which is insane. I mean, and that comes back to the last 2 weeks. Isaiah Hunter, tunnel screen against Michigan State, that sealed the game. And, of course, early on against Maryland, tunnel screen went for a touchdown. Minnesota's got to know that play is coming. I don't. Would you be surprised if Nebraska has a successful tunnel screen, knowing that it has scored back-to-back weeks on different opponents? Because I would sit here stunned if they fell for that again, or if they couldn't cover that.
It'd be really embarrassing, I would think, for the defense if that were to happen. What I would try to do is, I don't know how you do this, Jake. I've never called a play in my life, but you work off that somehow. Do something to work off of it. You might show it once. Show it once. That's my answer, by the way. Yeah, show it once to see if they're ready. If they're ready for it, and if they get it, then that's it. Just work off of it from there.
We're just under 3 hours away from kickoff in Minnesota. Steve Sipple on the road. I'm Jake Sorensen here at the Ticket Studio. Now, we have not addressed a unit that has been very, very, very bright for Nebraska this year, and that is, of course, special teams. Nebraska has been one of the best punt return teams in the country, which seems like that's words we have not seen since Demonte Pearson-Nell at Nebraska, and they've been really good on punt coverage, allowing -1 punt return yards this season. That's a place where Minnesota has been better than Nebraska in previous years when they've lost these games. Do you think that'll have a major impact in a Husker win this evening in Minneapolis?
Oh, I think it definitely could. Nebraska's been very strong in that area. It's a nice night. It'll be a nice night. It's beautiful here, by the way. I think the weather's not going to come into play with the wet ball and a guy trying to field it or field it in windy conditions and wet conditions. It'll be good. So, yeah, I definitely think that could be a factor. And special teams overall, just don't really worry at this point, having seen Nebraska play very sound and even make big plays and special teams, don't worry about that getting them beat. Doesn't mean you take nothing for granted, but it doesn't seem like it should be a major factor in getting you beat. It's actually something you think, they could maybe even win the game that way. I think Archie Wilson could be important in this game. He hasn't really had to do much, but again, don't put Minnesota in good field positions. Make them drive because they have to. It's hard for them, Jake. If they run the ball like they've been running it, and they don't pass the ball very well downfield, they don't ask their quarterback to do a lot of that. They don't have the receivers to do it. Ryan kind of covered that. What he told us was Nebraska receivers have 1,000 yards after the catch, and Minnesota doesn't have 1,000 receiving yards, period. So the receivers don't anyway. So it's make them drive the field is what I'm a long way of saying that. Make them drive the field because they're not going to get a lot of chunk plays.
This is why everything that you look at this game now. Again, you were confident this week in a blowout win for Nebraska, which still could happen. But when you look at every single stat, it favors Nebraska. It favors Nebraska in a comfortable win. But like you said earlier, it's the PJ Fleck factor. It's the fact that, hey, Nebraska has just found over the years incredible ways to lose or give games away, whether it's special teams or stupid turnovers. Like, we've seen that get fixed. It almost came back last week against Maryland and cost you, but Nebraska won a road game -3 in turnovers. That's a big deal to win that type of game when you're that bad in turnovers. So that's massive to know you can do it. But I just think that tonight, again, when the stats indicate it should be a comfortable win, this is when you say we are truly a top 25 team. We have to prove that we can be this and keep winning games and stack wins and become the team that we thought they could be in year 3 under Matt Rule.
Yeah, you're always looking for just discernible. What you're talking about is discernible signs of progress.
Right.
And going on the road in the Big Ten against anybody it's pretty challenging, right? Against virtually anybody in the league. And certainly going to Minnesota and winning. And I think that environment will be pretty good, Jake. there's no high school football tonight in Minneapolis or in the state. And I think there'll be a pretty big crowd here. So the environment could be a factor. So, yeah, I mean, show if you're really a top 25 team and you're really and you are genuinely making progress as a program, this is a game you win. It doesn't have to even, I don't think it has to be wouldn't put a margin on it. I think you just win it. I just happen to think, here's why I take a big margin, Jake. It's I think they can run it and throw it against this team. You don't go into a lot of games thinking that, right? But
no.
In this game, I think you can run it and throw it. So what will that look like? What if they can really do that, and then not turn it over? I think you get 35 and maybe 40 points in this game.
I was thinking about the conversations with the fan base. If Nebraska wins comfortably, a 6-1, we're going to be ranked again for sure for Northwestern the next week. Like you start thinking big picture, and it's been way too long since that's been the case here. Now, some would say, well, that means Matt Rule is likely to go to Penn State because he's winning. I don't know what it means. All I know is that shouldn't matter. If you're a Nebraska fan, I'm trying to speak to Nebraska fans here, and you are asking Nebraska to not win games to keep your coach, does that make any sense at all in the world? I'm bothered by it. It pisses me off when people say we got a better chance to keep Rule if Nebraska just goes 8-4. That's dumb. Why would you ever wish that upon your team? Knock that crap off. This is not you. I'm talking to the fan base on this. It's ridiculous.
Oh God, I don't. Is that a conversation?
I have. I've had friends text me. I'm not going to put them out there. And I said, "Are you insane? Like, well, you want to just hurt Nebraska's season to potentially keep your head coach from going somewhere else? That makes no sense." Next year, Nebraska plays home games against Indiana, Ohio State, and at Oregon. Like they could have a rough year. You take your great seasons when you can get them, no matter if it costs you your head coach or not. I cannot fathom that type of conversation. I don't put up with it, frankly.
No,
I'm putting it down.
I mean, just what I would tell someone who's of that mindset is please consider the players in that conversation. I mean,
what's wrong with you? Why do you think like that?
Right. I mean, you want them to lose. They put their life into this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hard sport that you have to train year round. Now you're kind of cheering for your players to lose. I don't understand.
Just to keep your head coach from going somewhere else. It's not right.
Yeah, that's borderline insane.
I'm telling you, Sip, the conversation's out there. If you went to message boards, we have it at Husker Online, you would see it, and it might bother you. Just look past it and say, nope, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not looking at that. I'm not going to even respond to that. Don't do it.
What they would tell you is that they are taking
Uh-oh. I lost you. Still there, Sip? Okay, we've lost Sip. That's fine. We will tag out on that note. I think Sip's prediction was going to be more. He said 42-13 earlier today. I think he was going to go more in the lines of, covering the spread, but barely. So it's 7.5 in favor of Nebraska. I think Sip was saying is be closer to maybe right on that line. I would say Nebraska wins this game. They don't cover the spread, and I don't care. Like, I don't sit here and say it's important for Nebraska to win and win comfortably. Nebraska needs to win games. They have lost close games for years. It's important to just get a dub. I think Nebraska wins this game 27-24, 3-point win for the Huskers. And you might say that's not good enough. I don't really care. A win is a win. We're having some video problems, so we will tag out. We got Nick Sander next from Minneapolis. Jay Foreman with us as well. More of the Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show is next on 9 through 7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today. Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Hey guys, it's Adam Carriker here. As a former Husker and NFL player, I'm a health nut. Hydration and recovery starts at home. That's why I teamed up with Culligan of Lincoln. Soft water means better showers, cleaner dishes, and it protects my water heater and appliances. Their high-efficiency softener cuts salt and water usage. For drinking, I added a Culligan reverse osmosis. Bottled quality water right at my tap. Great taste, and it's certified to reduce tough contaminants like lead and PFAs. Right now, get up to $300 off a whole home system or just $9.95 per month for your first 3 months. Schedule your free water test at CulliganHuskers.com. That's CulliganHuskers.com. Culligan of Lincoln, water you love. Go Big Red.
Limited time offer, participating dealers, restrictions may apply.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates,
financing,
savings,
and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
Nebraska fans, it might be a road game today, but the party is still on in downtown Lincoln. Big Ten Sports Bar is your ultimate spot to catch Nebraska football and volleyball, with every game on, every screen, all day long. Doors open bright and early at 9 a.m. Grab breakfast, stay for the game, and keep the night going with full kitchen open until midnight. Big Ten Sports Bar, downtown Lincoln's home for Nebraska sports, bands, good food, and drinks.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th, when every red tag machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging.
What up, we're here on A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, Minnesota. We're on from 4 to 7 p.m. Obviously, Jake Sorensen and Steve Sipple. We're on from 4 to 4:25. This my man, Nick Sainer and Jay Foreman. Nick Sainer is streaming in. Austin Orman is on the ones and twos. We are brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have a non-emergency surgery and return home on the same day. Call 402-261-1085 or go to imaging.com or amimaging.com. I know for a fact they take care of all their clients, including myself, on multiple levels and multiple situations. But with that being said, Nick Sainer, are you live in effect?
What's up, Jay? Good to see you, my friend, or good to hear from you. It's weird being in close to your hometown and you're not here.
Well, you know what's funny, Nick, is that you went up to my hometown, my own stomping ground, where my dad is the king and was the prince in waiting, and you didn't ask for anything or any hookup possible.
That's right.
You know, they always say a hard head make for a soft what. So how was your trip and how was your drive up to Minnesota?
It was pretty good. And here's the thing. I would have asked for recommendations, but I ran into a little mutual friend of ours while I was up here just about an hour and a half ago in downtown Minneapolis as I was hanging out with some Husker friends. I ran into a mutual friend, Bill Mitchner, and he told me quite an interesting little situation here of how he got up here and that you actually hooked him up. And listen, I just wanted to know more so of why I wasn't involved in the hookup that Bill Mitchner was able to get from you.
Well, here's the thing. Dollar Bill, as I call him, was asking for some tickets. You, my friend, are up there on a media pass, so you don't need the hookup. Yeah, but if you had asked, like always, I come through like a champion. And the fact that you're in Minneapolis and didn't ask for the hookup is on you. You know, you could have had, I would have had you nice with a place to stay, nice little meal or meals, but you chose to rough it. But Nick, I want to ask you, obviously offline, I got the text. What's the vibe up there with Husker fans, considering they know who Minnesota is, and then also they know who Nebraska is?
Well, I can tell you this. I just came up about 15 minutes ago from the lobby of my hotel, and it's full of Husker fans. I'm about 5 minutes away from the stadium. I can see the stadium out one side, Minnesota Stadium, I should say, and then on the other side, I can see U.S. Bank Stadium where the Vikings are at. And so we're kind of smack dab in the middle of those two, and there's a lot of Husker fans at my hotel. I got a text from a couple of friends and Husker fans that made the trip up here that actually were already down near the stadium. And they said that they were at a local establishment and the split was about 95% Husker fans to 5% Minnesota fans. And so similar to what we saw and heard about in Maryland last week, I think it's a similar story here this week in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the first time, and probably me and Austin talked about that Nebraska is actually showing up to the stadium with a significant advantage, personnel-wise, I guess mojo-wise, but then also reality-wise. You know, PJ Fleck is obviously being able to – he's a master motivator, but he also knows that his team is not at the same level it has been. And we talked about this a little bit at Big Ten Media Days, me, you, and Austin, obviously, when we were hanging out. how have things changed or stayed the same from the time that we saw PJ Fleck and his players to now of Matt Rule and our players and PJ Fleck and his players and his team?
Well, doesn't it feel like PJ kind of knew back in July that maybe his team wouldn't be the similar type of build that we've seen in the first couple of years of PJ Fleck at Minnesota, and I feel like he's one of those coaches that plays a lot of mind games with people and with fan bases, and not necessarily a bad way. He just knows that, hey, you know what? If we're going to be undersized and undermanned, how can I try to take advantage of you and catch you sleeping a little bit? And I feel like that was, with some of his comments at media days, maybe what he was doing a little bit. But then in addition to that, I don't know, Jay, maybe I'm off on this, and you know much more of the X's and O's. I just don't feel like this Minnesota team is all that talented. Like, I look at the quarterback, and I was saying it on the drive this morning with AD. Like, I watched that Purdue game, and Minnesota was lucky to get out of there with a win last week against Purdue. If it wasn't for 3 turnovers from the Boilermakers last week, Minnesota doesn't win that game. And in addition, I mean, to that, Minnesota won by 7 after trailing by a touchdown going into the fourth quarter, and getting outgained in total yardage by over 200 yards. I mean, this is a situation, it really feels like this is firmly in Nebraska's control. I'm not that high on Minnesota, and normally they're a team that you sit there and go, okay, you know what? Minnesota, even though they might be a little under-talented, they're going to play disciplined football and still come out with a win somehow. But it doesn't feel like that this year. I'm not that high on Drake Lindsey as a quarterback. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I was going to say that, and I heard your take, I think, earlier on with AD in the drive. I mean, I know that, look, he's 6'4", 6'5", about, anywhere. Who cares if he's 235, 240 or whatever. Mm-hmm. A big arm and has a lot of potential as far as a pocket passer, but I think that's not what PJ Fleck and what normally has, or what has hurt Nebraska when PJ Fleck has been the coach. Tanner Morgan and Kramer have provided a little bit more of RPO action, and I think that the offensive line is porous by their standards. Their number one running back, who is a problem, is most likely out. The wide receivers, which have been NFL laden, are not that, at least as of now, but potentially yet. So when you think about this team, yeah, you might have a good young quarterback that's had 6 starts underneath his belt and has done a pretty good job. And you can talk about the touchdown, the turnover ratio. But in reality, he's not that guy. And I think this is a game where me and Austin talked about on Old School, is that it will show a tremendous amount of maturity. And if you're able to start out fast, get a lead, go into halftime with momentum, start halftime with momentum, show a little bit more of a, I'll just say a Neanderthal mindset to put the dagger in the heart versus playing with your food. And by the 6th game of the season, you have to display more of that if you're trying to get to the places that Nebraska says they want to get to. And Minnesota's ripe for the picking. And as many times as Minnesota beat up on Nebraska when Mike Riley was a head coach and Scott Frost maybe had started out early in his career, so there really wasn't any dialogue on how they beat Nebraska. It's just that you beat Nebraska the same way we got to beat Minnesota because it's time to beat Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see the mindset of the guys versus going out there and try to establish yourself and playing with or playing for something bigger than yourself, or are you still in that front runner mode of this is a team that we're better than and we'll kind of play around and then obviously, obviously hit, 777s and win at the end.
I'll be honest, Jay. I mean, we talked about it on the post game last week. Nebraska was fortunate to be in a spot last week where they were able to come from behind and beat Maryland. And I'm not saying they didn't deserve to win that game against the Terps, but ultimately, I mean, it took a full team effort last week. We talked about that on the post game show. I think this week, what I'm really looking for, Nebraska, there's a very good chance that they're in a position similar to the last 2 weeks where they're up by double digits at one point. Show some growth. Like that's where, I mean, you always talk about the chapters of a season, and each game look at it as a separate chapter. I'm kind of interested today to see how you can build from chapter 1 to chapter 3. If chapter 1 is Michigan State and chapter 3 is Minnesota today, if you find yourself in a similar spot up by double digits, how have you grown throughout these last couple of weeks to where you haven't necessarily played with their food, to be cliche, But then on top of that, I think a lot of that is just from I don't want to say an experience of winning, but like a drive that I think we specifically look at is coming out of halftime. Nebraska's been flatter than a Diet Coke that's been sitting out for 5 days the last 2 weeks. They've been real flat. I mean, coming out of this locker room, and it's taken kind of a spark in the fourth quarter. I think that's part of where I'm really interested. We always talk the importance of that middle 8. It's time to show it this week.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer of that middle 12 because of my obviously Coach Osborne used to talk, whether it was 8 or 12. You're 100% right. And coming out of halftime flat, everybody wants to say it's adjustments. Really, it becomes it really what that is dependent upon is the leadership in the locker room. You come in the way halftime goes. You come in and you settle down. Whether you got to go, get some oranges or whatever it is, electrolytes. You go to the bathroom. You meet with your individual coaches. They go over. The coordinator's going to go over what affected you in a positive way, negative, but then also what you're going to maybe change or look out for and maybe project in the second half. But coming out of halftime is strictly on the leadership of the team, Nick. I mean, this. I mean, it's like a weather delay in baseball. You have to get your mind right. If you have a 10-point lead or if you're down by 2, it is time to turn it up. And this is a great time for Nebraska to, really show their dominance, go into halftime with some obviously positive vibes, come out of halftime. And it may be just say you have a 7-point lead and then you go back and forth. And then by the end of the third quarter, you have a 10-point lead. And then you turn it into a 17-point lead. And then they get a field goal. You have a 14-point lead. And then you get a field goal at the end of the fourth or whatever. And you end up winning by 17. Yeah, I know that Vegas has it at 7.5. That's fine. But realistically, Nebraska should beat this team by easily mid double digits, high teens, because athletically you're better. Physically across the line, you have more depth and you've been better. And then you have the ultimate advantage in the quarterback position, which you maybe haven't had in quite some time as far as the quarterbacks and the experience Nebraska versus Minnesota. And so this is going to tell me more about where they are maturity-wise. Can you go on the road twice? Can you go on the road and beat a extremely young but athletic team in Maryland, come back short week and go up and beat a coach and a team and I'll just say a university and city where you've laid some eggs? And that's going to show a lot. And you will see that obviously with the fans, but then also at the game when you attend tonight.
I think you're absolutely right. I think in addition to all of that, we've heard so much about, and we've seen the social media videos of halftime speeches and stuff. And Matt Rule made a big deal this week talking about how Ja'Cory Barney was in the locker room last week at halftime, getting on guys and had a great halftime speech. Like, oh, that's great, but like, go out and be about it. And we shouldn't, like, this is going to sound harsh and brash, but like, I could care less. Like, I don't really care that Ja'Cory Barney's getting up and getting on the team if you're going to come out flat week after week. Like, because guess what? You guys always talked about it, and it's like, do it with your pads, like do it with the play. And so you specifically mentioned though the quarterback situation. Where are you at right now with Dylan? Because I feel like Nebraska fans are in a very, very delicate space right now because there's a lot of positive, and we've seen growth from Dylan this year. But these last 2 weeks, there's certainly been a fair share of mistakes as well. I think this is a big opportunity for him to kind of, as we really turn towards the second half of the season and everything Nebraska wants and hopes for is still in front of them. This is a big week and big day for Dylan to kind of get back on the right track in totality. Yeah, Nebraska won the last 2 weeks. It's great. But there were also some glaring mistakes and issues with Dylan's play the last couple of weeks.
This is a great opportunity for Dylan to go light these dudes up and I guess get that positive vibes back. Look, you play in the Big Ten, it's significantly different than playing Cincinnati and the 2 high school teams. And even Michigan, he did some really good things. This is a really good opportunity to play like within yourself, good fundamentals, and just kind of get back to essentially, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Efficient passing, moving the ball downfield, take the chances when you need to, completing the passes, and then eventually just keep stacking points. And sure, he had 3 interceptions against Maryland. Looked a little bit out of sorts against Michigan State, especially in the second and third quarter. But it's a growing process. I mean, Dylan's still a very young player. You got to think, I don't care about high school. I really don't. Because his type of talent, you're significantly better than 99% of the guys that you play throughout the nation. So now you come to a place where you're just one of the guys in college football, and you're playing against the best coaches, the best teams, and the best players in the Big Ten. Now, whether you want to go back and forth between the Big Ten and the SEC, it's really just, whatever type of, I guess, diarrhea you like, or whatever you want to say it. So really, when you think about it, Dylan is in the learning process and he's ahead of schedule. This is what the Husker fans need to understand. He's ahead of schedule, but he's in the learning process of what it takes to be the best out there. You have to get punched in your face, answer the bell, go back and learn from it, get better, get punched in the face again. And then when people punch you in the face, it's not a direct shot, if you want an analogy, and you're able to walk through it. And so I think Dylan's in a great spot for him. You have everybody in the state of Nebraska in the football department or whatever behind you and pushing you towards bigger and better things. And you have the opportunity, and you have better weapons than you had in the year before. So really, if I'm Dylan, all the faith that I put into the coaching staff and the recruiting staff came to fruition. Now I just got to go out there and drive the bus. You feel like you got a solidified running back that maybe you didn't have last year. You have a solidified relationship with the offensive coordinator that maybe, I'm just playing devil's advocate, maybe that you didn't have last year. But Dana Holgorsen, you can't deny his success as a play caller. Then you have the depth of too deep in every single skill position. You know what I'm saying? So now you can sit back and just go out there and play. Sure, you're going to get hit some. Is it all on the offensive line? Probably not. Is it some on Dylan? Sure. In between. Now you just got to lessen those percentages and then increase your leadership, which when you increase your true intrinsic leadership, that means the leadership when there's no cameras around. Then when you play games like Minnesota, next week against Northwestern, and then I guess a mano quarterback against USC, you're able to leapfrog those dudes. And then everything that you want after that will be, second nature, because you'll be able to prove you already proven yourself. And so all the accolades and all the other stuff that, generally drives guys will just come and then be at your feet.
And a big part of what you just talked about, I mean, you mentioned the running back piece of it. I mean, you and I talked last week ahead of Maryland, and then he goes out and has a really, really big day. Emmett Johnson, there's so much being made this week about him coming back home. And it's like, I looked it up earlier. I'm 13 minutes away from his high school and stuff where Nebraska did the walkthrough. Like, so much is being made about Emmett Johnson being back home in Minnesota and stuff. But I think in totality, big picture wise, having somebody in the backfield next to Dylan that actually is serviceable, and a little bit more than serviceable this year, whether that's credit to Emmett, whether it's credit to Dana for drawing some things up. You might know it better than I do, obviously, Jay, but for whatever reason, Nebraska has somewhat of an effective running game, and they figured out ways to consistently use him. I mean, we've seen Nebraska's running backs, like I think back to Anthony Grant at times, where Nebraska's running backs, they would have a good start to the year. Then Big Ten play would start. They'd go in these ebbs and flows, like the roller coaster of the season. And for the most part, Emmett's been pretty consistent, and he's been available, which is great as well. He's been able to stay healthy. And so I'm sure that as we talk about the development with Dylan, having a guy like Emmett Johnson, who's at least been available for all 6 games, has certainly been a big part of it.
Your best ability a lot of times is your availability, and that's what Emmett's done since he's been here at Nebraska. This is even when he wasn't playing. And I think the one thing that we saw last year in a small capsule of 3 games, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, was Emmett's role with Dana Holgorsen, where you're the do-it-all back. You can affect the game in the pass game, short area pass game, make guys miss. You can pass protect. And then you conventional run game. And I think Emmett's really taken it to another level. I mean, when you think of from game 1 to game 6, who's been the most consistent player and the most effective player? It's been Emmett. And so as long as he's healthy, it's going to be business as usual. Yes, he's back home. I know what it's like when you go back home. He'll handle his business accordingly, and that it won't affect how Dana, calls the game, because as much as we're talking about Emmett going home, the defensive coaches from Minnesota and the players knowing Emmett's coming back home. When they turn on the tape, game 1 through 6, they know 21 is there and is going to be a problem to handle the business. Now it's up to Dylan Raiola, Dana Holgorsen, Coach Shorts, the wide receiver coach, and Satterfield, the tight end coach, and Coach Raiola, the offensive line coach, to come up with a plan, and obviously the players be motivated to make sure that they handle the business when everybody focuses on Emmett. But I think, people wondered why Nebraska didn't go get Brown, from the transfer portal. Well, you believe so much in Emmett. He's shown the ability to outlast the touches or play count that people put on him based on his size. He's in phenomenal shape. His mind is right. He understands the dynamics of his situation. Sometimes guys get in that situation, which probably leads to your point, Nick. They got too comfortable, they got lazy, and they lost their edge. Emmett hasn't lost his edge. What I mean by that is sometimes you can be anointed as the number one back and just sit back and chill, whereas Emmett has decided when they need me the most, I'm going to actually validate everything that I've said and thought for the last 2 years on the biggest stage. And so tonight against Minnesota, will be no different.
Jay, I'm gonna give you. We do it every week. Key players, one on each side of the ball. I'm gonna say Ja'Cory on offense. I think this is finally the game that maybe we see Ja'Cory do some stuff in the receiving game, in addition to Isaiah and Danke. I think they've figured out some sort of a balance there. Defensively, I think it's Williams-Nwaneri. I'm going to lean towards him just because I view this feels like a John Butler-esque game, to where he's just going to dial up the pressure from snap number 1, and they're going to try to cause problems with against Drake Lindsey. They did not hit, and they'll tell you, they said it over the week, they didn't hit Malik Washington well enough like they did, like we talked about with Aiden Childs 2 weeks ago. And so I think this is a big game for the front seven. Real quick, I know we're up against the clock here in just a second, and I'm going to make my way over to Huntington Bank Stadium. But who are your key players offensively and defensively, my friend?
I mean, offensively, obviously, Emmett's going to do his thing, but I think it's going to be Danke. I mean, Danke going against number 17. I'm not even going to tell you his last name. He is hot garbage. So this is a get-right game for Danke. If I'm Danke, I'm telling Coach Shorts and Dana Holgorsen, I'm lining up against 17, and I want to be Jamar Chase and get 12 targets and have 9 catches and 100-something yards. Defensively, I'm going to go Watson Trent. I think Watson Trent is going to. I think him coming off the bench after being, I guess benched the week before, and being effective with Shavers being a little bit hurt. I think he's going to play a big role. One, in the run game. I think is that when the light comes on how to play Big Ten football, I think we're going to see better production. And I think teams are going to start to game plan for Javen Wright, so forth and so on. Watson Trent is going to have to come up big tonight. So I think those two will play huge, for Nebraska to win.
Jay, I'm going to make a prediction. As my Uber has pulled up, I've been notified. Prediction for Nebraska tonight.
My prediction is 31
Can you guys hear me?
31-10. This is a blowout.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is a blowout. I told everybody to go to Warhorse Casino and put their money down in Nebraska more than the cover. Minnesota is hot garbage. It's time for Nebraska to get out there and show them why they're hot garbage. Yes, they're a below average team, but nevertheless, the maturity to beat a team that's below average, I think it's 31-10.
There you go. I agree. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Austin. I'll see you guys.
A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. They also sponsor Inside the Huddle, 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. Sunday mornings. Appreciate you guys listening. Talk to you in the post-game show, me and my man Austin Orman. We'll be right back, and then we'll pass it over to Terrell Farley and Jake Bakoven. A1 Ticket Tailgate Party. We'll be right back.
Bonsall Pool and Spa's annual Spooktacular sale is here. Now through November 1st, get an extra $1,000 off hot tubs at an already low sale price and get $500 off the already low sale prices on infrared and traditional saunas. All hot tub water care products and accessories are also for sale for the Spooktacular sale, now through November 1st at Bonsall Pool and Spa at 33rd and Highway 2. Call for more info at 402-488-0148 or visit bonsallpool.com.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit stonebrookexterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Are you looking to upgrade your equipment and keep cash in your pocket? Through October at Landmark Implement, get up to a 24-month waiver on select John Deere tractors and combines, or lock in a 2.9% fixed rate for 36 months, followed by a qualified standard rate for another 36 months. Whether you're thinking of this year's harvest or planning ahead, we've got a solution that works for your bottom line. Visit your local Landmark Implement for more details or check us out at landmarkimp.com and experience the Landmark difference.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC, doing life together.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by Elway Power Sports of Lincoln.
All right, welcome to A1 Automotive Pregame. Bach, the black shirt, and Todd Euler is in the house. We're here to talk for a quick 20 minutes. Bach, read it.
Yeah, this is brought to you by Elway Power Motor. It is game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership, stocking top models from Can-Am, Kawasaki, Honda, Polaris, CF Moto, Suzuki, Yamaha, Indian Motorcycles, Sea-Doo, Triton Trailers. Stop by their 27th and I-80 location today.
All right, guys, we have a good one tonight. It's Nebraska versus Minnesota. I think we're going to roll away with this one. I think we're in a good hands right now. We're probably.
I think that might be your phone going off.
Oh no,
Sorry,
no. That was my laptop. All right, Minnesota guys, what's up, Euler?
What up? It's game day. Let's go.
All right,
Ready.
man. Let's talk about it. Go ahead, Bach. Give me something.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, as we know it, Nebraska and Minnesota. Well, let's just start off with your guys' feelings about it. I think a lot of people feel confident. Maybe it's a combination of what Nebraska's done the last couple of weeks, put some of these games away, and what Minnesota's shown so far. Like, going to be a tough-nosed Minnesota team as it usually is, but they look a little weaker than maybe they have in recent years. What are you guys' confidence level, if you put in meters, 0 to 100? What are you guys thinking here?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think I'm that confident. It's a Big Ten game. It's on the road. Lots of things that we haven't, overcome. We've overcome some stuff the last couple games, and that's awesome. But we haven't won back-to-back road games in the Big Ten, and I don't know, since like 2005 or something. We're PJ Fleck is 6-1 against us, so So I feel we have the team to go out, into the Twin Cities and take this victory, but there's work to be done. There's been distraction all week potentially. From my gatherings, it's been kept at a minimum as far as practice and all that stuff goes. So I think the guys are focused, ready to play, and I think they know what's in front of them. And this is one of the stepping stones to get to that next level. But I don't know about personal confidence. You sound really confident, Bach. You're like, yeah, let's go. We're going to do it.
Well, it goes the game time, so maybe that's what
I'm probably at, an 80% confidence level that we're going to come out with the win, right? I still, it's a Big Ten game. It's on the road. We've seen what's happened in the Big Ten already when teams travel. I mean, look at Penn State 2 weeks in a row traveling. They, drop those games, or actually first week they were at home when they got beat by Northwestern. I apologize, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's right.
So you just don't know in the Big Ten. It's such a great football conference, and we'll see what happens, man. I'm just excited for kickoff and to see what transpires.
Yeah, well, part of my excitement might come from hanging out with Terrell. Terrell has been pretty enthusiastic. Nebraska can win this one, though he did did you kind of pick Minnesota a little bit before swapping over? I guess that was a psychology game earlier in the day. But I think you feel pretty confident, don't you, Terrell?
Yeah, I use psychology on this because when you pick them, they lose, and when you don't pick them, they win. So I'm going off based off my theory from the last 3 years I've been doing radio. Minnesota's a team that's probably fought and scratched hard to be 4-2 right now. PJ Fleck has Nebraska number. He's still trying to figure out Nebraska pro-style defense. Now, this defense is coming alive. This is the number one passing defense in college football. But, they get a lot of pressure with William the Wheelie, Cam Newton, the other guys out there, Javen Wright, great bunch of guys. I think we wear Minnesota down to the point where they're not going to be able to do anything after probably the middle of the second, third quarter. Big body offense, though, when you look at the bodies that they have. But I think we run away with this one probably midway through the third quarter. I'm saying probably 41-20 when I talk about it.
Yeah, I don't mind that prediction. I picked Nebraska to double up Minnesota today, 34-17. So I think our confidence is a little bit, but you make good points, Todd Euler, about what Minnesota does bring to the table. I mean, like you said, they've really dominated this series as of late. That's PJ Fleck over Nebraska. Just one matchup with Matt Rule, but of course that did go PJ Fleck's way. This is a game with two offensive lines that haven't been all that great. Or have at least had games up and down, right? And so I think a lot of it's going to be, as usual with college football or any sort of football, is who can kind of get things going up front. What do you guys think is the expectation now for Nebraska's offensive line? I asked this last week because I think it's interesting. Last week they, going into that game, they gave up 12 sacks in the previous two games, and last week only given up one. Minnesota, I mean, they've got a guy in Anthony Smith that can get to the ball. I mean, they've got a couple athletes, again, like you always say. I mean, there are 11 guys out there recruited out there. But what do we think from the offensive line as far as pass protection today, and then getting Emmett Johnson going in his return to Minnesota?
Well, yeah, we gave up all those sacks, but we weren't running the ball. We ran the ball last week, 170 yards from Emmett Johnson. We have to run the ball tonight. Purdue had over 200 yards of rushing on them. We have to run the ball to keep those pass rushers from just teeing off like Michigan did in Michigan State, right? So I think that's a big key to helping. And I think the offensive line, once again, I said this, they've been plugged and played. They haven't been together for years, and I think they're starting to figure out how each other works, and they're getting better each week. So I think that's going to be fun to watch. Hopefully that they're progressing each week and getting a little bit better.
Well, you got guys that you can rotate and put in different spots. I think Elijah Pritchett is probably it's going to be on him to see how healthy he is. If that ankle is healthy enough for him to move and be able to take on those big defensive ends and defensive tackles. I think last week games proves that you can run the ball effectively with Emmett Johnson, and I think you want to do that today. You want to let him go home. You want to let him please the crowd. You want to show Minnesota what they missed out on not recruiting this young man, and I think the passing game will speak for itself. It always does. Dylan Raiola may hit some, he may miss some, but then in the end, he always finds them to win the game. Now, we're not going to need him as much as we think we are today because this is not going to be really a tough game. I might end up biting my tongue if this doesn't go right for us.
Terrell, stop. You're always the pessimist. You need to pick against us. You've done it
in the segment before us. He's really into that.
There's
a lot of confidence going in the studio. I don't know if it's something in the air or what.
No, we got to give it to him. We got to give it to him because we get so much heat when we don't talk about the Huskers in the way we do because they have to be perfect. No, there's no such thing as a perfect team. You've seen the Penn State, what happened to them. This Nebraska team by far is not perfect, but they're going to do the job that they have to do to go in there and win and get out of Minnesota. I'm not saying you're going to beat them 50-0 or they're not going to score any touchdowns or anything. No, you're going to have some flaws. You're going to have some sacks. You're going to have some INTs, but, it's the way that you handle it after you come back for the next series.
And we've shown that in the last 3 games, right? I mean, Michigan, it felt like at any point was going to just absolutely blow our doors off, and we battled back, right? We weren't able to come back and win that one, but then kind of similar with Michigan State, right? Like they came back, took the lead, and then we absolutely, I think, scored 24 unanswered points, right? So we're showing that poise of a team, and it does get you a little excited, right? Special teams, once again tonight, probably going to be a big thing, and I think that's a huge advantage to us, right? Our special team. I think tonight's the night Jacory probably gets a punt return run back. I think that would be a lot of fun to watch, and really, being able to control special teams the way we feel really good about that, right? And when you can control that, you can make some mistakes on offense and still know that we can get back into the game or, do those things. So dude, I'm ready. Let's kick it off. It's still 2 hours. That's a long time.
Yeah, that's true. We might want to tone down a little bit because we
Yeah,
still
go
got 2
eat.
hours.
Go eat or something, Eula. Get something to eat.
Yeah.
But of course, it is going to be another opportunity too for Nebraska on Fox, the 3-letter network, that kind of the eyes of the nation to impress. Again, maybe it's not the knocking off Ohio State or anything like that, but it's the games that are on. And if this turns out to be a little bit of a better game, again, you got the best network preference, which is a big argument and deal these days. An opportunity for Nebraska to kind of show off, kick off a Saturday weekend that's going to be really great with the victory over Minnesota. And we talk about that because it's in somewhat important that Nebraska doesn't have a whole lot of huge resume boosting opportunities. So each time you do get these opportunities that might be a little bit more focused on us. I mean, guys, it's kind of silly. I was talking about this earlier, and Terrell was trying to bring me down from my season opportunities. But the schedule does set up for Nebraska. If they can, get some of these out, they could be potentially a 10-2 team that maybe is relying on eyeballs on them when they're on them. And tonight could be an opportunity for some eyeballs on them.
Eyeballs. You got to have quality appointment. You got to have quality opponents, Bach. I'm not saying that Minnesota's not quality opponents, but every time we play some people, the quality of our opponent goes down because they end up getting beat the next week or beat before we play them. And the resume may say 10-2, but you got to go by strength of schedule. You have to go by a 9-3 SEC team to make these playoffs. So you have to think about the ACC getting 2. The Big 12 probably is going to get 2 this year, so instead of 1. So there's a lot of things that's gonna factor into whether Nebraska makes this to make this college playoff run.
Yeah, and of course that's a ways away. That's not what they're thinking about, but as fans, you naturally kind of think a little bit about that. So maybe a thought with some of that competition might go up to 11-1. We're maybe just fine with that. Win the games ahead of you, right? As this opportunity comes for Nebraska against Minnesota. Now I'll ask you guys both too. Todd, I'll have you start off. Emmett Johnson obviously is kind of the focal point of this game, if you will. Just going home. They went back to his high school to do some walkthroughs. I mean, and this is coming off his best game as a Husker, at least as far as rushing yards go. So it feels like there's a lot of pressure maybe on him to have a big game here. Can that sometimes work against you if you're thinking about it a little bit too much, or do you kind of this is home, this is the opportunity, more people that know you, bring back a lot of your high school friends, show off?
Well, we kind of saw that with Ramir John last year in New York, really? Right? Like watch. I think it does nothing but motivate. I don't think it's gonna do anything but have Emmett running like a madman like he did last week. We saw something in Emmett last week we just hadn't seen quite yet. The guy hit the hole hard. He broke a lot of tackles. I would love to see. I still haven't looked up his yards after contact. It had to be a lot. And he's got something to prove up there, right? This is his hometown. He's going to be in front of a lot of his family and friends, and it's something I think he's going to rise to that occasion, right? Similar to Ramir the other last year in the bowl game, right? So I don't think it's going to take away from anything. So I think it's going to be Emmett's night to shine, and hopefully he does.
All right. Here's my problem with this. When football players go on a walkthrough, they want to be on the field they're going to play on. So probably going to Emmett Field unless they play on turf, like I don't know if it's a good idea, but I'm looking for Emmett to have one of his best games as a Husker. This young man has surprised a lot of people this year. 605 yards or 600 and some yards rushing, on pace for 1,200, 7 touchdowns. May be able to take the lead in the Big Ten this week in rushing because what's his name? Mays is hurt. He was hurt last week, so he lost. Emmett was able to gain more ground than he thought he was, but especially with 178 some yards rushing, I look for him to repeat that same progress that he had last week, and hopefully we can get a good victory out of him and sit him down early and let him return have his return trip home and give him his flowers. Also, shout out to the Huskers volleyball team, 16-0. They will play Michigan State tonight in 45 minutes. So if you're going to be there, go there.
Yeah, that's absolutely Husker volleyball number one, not just in our hearts, but everywhere across the nation. But it is interesting, too, because the one thought I do have with Emmett Johnson in saying that we need him tonight, and I mean, he's been, again, right up there in the Big Ten's rushing lead, is how much opportunity will he get? If Dylan starts picking Minnesota apart a little bit, could be more opportunities, or maybe it's just Isaiah Hunter's chance to break it off. A couple more of those wide receiver screens. My point in all of this is to say, even though he's the running back, and I do expect him to get a heavy dose of the ball, is that there are playmakers emerging. There are different guys that we could see really have a big game. Could be Ja'Cory Barney that pops up and have a big game. We talk about an Isaiah Hunter. People have been waiting for Heinrich Hargberg. Obviously, Dane Key is probably going to be due at some point to have his big game. So the playmakers that are emerging along with Emmett Johnson might take a little bit away, only as far as touches, what he can do here. That's if Nebraska's defense gets going, our offense gets going. I do want to say this too. Minnesota, new defensive coordinator this year. Last year, total defense, 5th in the nation. That's sometimes the kind of the tough grit that they have now. I think they're 35th in the nation, somewhere around there. So a bit of a step back, but still could be a challenge for Nebraska's offense. There's a lot of predictions for high scores in this game, myself included. But Coy Parrish is a guy. I mean, you talk about just winning a game, being the best player on the field. Last week against Purdue, Minnesota probably shouldn't have won that game. Coy Parrish jumps up and takes it home for a pick six. This is one of those games where, I know Nebraska's been doing better as of late in the clutch, but I don't necessarily love the idea of playing clutch ball with a guy, they've got a few athletes on the field that could also make the big play.
Yeah, I'm looking for Ja'Cory Bonner to have a bounce back game. Didn't do as much as he should have last week. That's why I said other guys need to take over and lighten the load up for him. You can see how he gets up and how he's bumped and bruised up. It's a grueling Big 10 schedule, so you're gonna have those days when you can't afford to go out there and do what you want to do because you're banged up. But I expect this to be a good game. Like you said, the DBs for Minnesota are great. I mean, you got a freshman All-American last year. You got a freshman that made Big Ten, first team All Big Ten last year. So this is not going to be a cakewalk that you think it is. Not in the passing department, but more of a cakewalk in the rushing department if we can get it going early.
Yeah, it's interesting too. You look at Coy Parrish is one of the names as we flip over and look at Minnesota a little bit that we're talking about. He's got to kind of be looking out for there. Again, he's definitely Minnesota's best player, might be the best player on the field altogether. Number 3 out there, who again was all Big Ten and in some cases All American last year as a freshman. Another cornerback to look out for, John Nestor. He's got 3 interceptions this year, and he ran one back for a touchdown as well. He's number 17. So this is a group in a secondary that could prolong, I guess, the struggles that Dylan had last week with interceptions. So just something to look out for a little bit there. And then up front for them, number 0, Anthony Smith. He's the guy that could give Nebraska's offensive line some fits. And Nebraska's offensive line obviously has given up some sacks this year. 6'6", 285. I think he had 6.5 sacks last year. He's at 4.5 already this year. So we'll see. Minnesota's defense, I think, presents maybe a little bit more of a challenge than their offense. I think Nebraska's so it's kind of interesting as we kind of do the flip sheet, right? Is to look at which side of the ball do you guys feel Nebraska has a bigger advantage in? Because offensively, they only got 30 yards rushing last week. Their quarterback, that's not to say they can't do it, but I mean, it's also to say they can be stopped. Drake Lindsey, redshirt freshman, he's been all right, but they've had struggles finding a playmaker themselves on that side of the ball. Javon Tracy has probably been the closest thing to it, the transfer from Miami of Ohio, number 11. But I think Nebraska's defense, with their own questions at times in the season, has the biggest advantage here.
Yeah, I think Nebraska just goes out there and beat them down, Bach. When you look at everything for special teams, we're probably better than them in everything. We got to see if Matt Rule can out-coach PJ Fleck. That's the main thing, because PJ has his number. I know he lost one game, but that was the Jeff Sims experience, and I think we're 20 times better than that Jeff Sims part that we didn't get right in 2023.
There's no doubt about that, guys. We are unfortunately at the end of our time here on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. So I think we're all hyped up and ready for the game, but we do have to pass it along here. Austin Orman AD will join next year as we do pass it along. Don't go anywhere. The A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show will return.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Nebraska fans, it might be a road game today, but the party is still on in downtown Lincoln. Big Ten Sports Bar is your ultimate spot to catch Nebraska football and volleyball, with every game on, every screen, all day long. Doors open bright and early at 9 a.m. Grab breakfast, stay for the game, and keep the night going with full kitchen open until midnight. Big Ten Sports Bar, downtown Lincoln's home for Nebraska sports, bands, good food, and drinks.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tag machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC. Doing life together.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Bonsall Pool and Spa's annual Spooktacular sale is here. Now through November 1st, get an extra $1,000 off hot tubs at an already low sale price and get $500 off the already low sale prices on infrared and traditional saunas. All hot tub water care products and accessories are also for sale for the Spooktacular sale, now through November 1st at Bonsall Pool and Spa at 33rd and Highway 2. Call for more info at 402-488-0148 or visit bonsallpool.com.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sappbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit stonebrookexterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you by the Kindler Hotel.
Oh, here we go. A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. Austin Norman and Aaron Davis with you for this segment, brought to you by the good people at the Kindler Hotel. We are posted up at the Kindler for every home pregame show, but here for road games, we're here in the studio. But you can book your stay today at the Kindler Hotel in one of their 45 well-appointed guest rooms that provides luxury in the heart of downtown. Enjoy a drink at Boitano's Lounge while you're here and take in the outdoor patio. Book your stay today at thekindlerhotel.com. AD, you and I were just chatting about some Gators and how you play a little better scared out there at Kiowa Island. Incredible course, I've been told, and you were reminiscing about your experience out there. Gators and Gophers, not quite the same animal. Nebraska probably shouldn't be scared of any Gophers tonight in Minneapolis.
Let me get full disclosure. I don't like Gophers either, though, man. Those suckers got some teeth on them, man. So hopefully Nebraska does a good job of getting these guys teeth knocked out tonight. And Austin, I think that's the thing that when I think about this, just all throughout the day, obviously it's weird always being here in the evenings because I'm out of here by 11:15 most mornings, left shortly after. But I was thinking about this on calls and Zooms. You could tell you where my mind was at when I was thinking about it on calls and Zooms. But I want to see Nebraska impose their will to an inferior opponent, a team that's riddled with injuries. They have key guys out. They have a very porous offensive line. With all that being said, though, PJ Fleck has been rolling the hell out of that boat for us against us. He's 6-1 against Nebraska. And he's done it with backups before, you know. So my thing with Nebraska, though, and obviously this roster is a lot different than all those previous ones, so kind of put that caveat there as well. But I want to see Nebraska just physically punish this team. And I mean take every bit or any hint of will out of Minnesota and do it early. I don't want to see the 14-point leads and the 12-point leads, and then you let them get back in because you let an inferior team play with you, they gain confidence.
We saw that the last couple of weeks where Nebraska was probably deeper than Michigan State and Maryland. Certainly the Huskers were able to dig deeper and end up winning both those games in slightly different fashion. But AD, that to me is how I look at a game Nebraska has an opportunity to win versus a game I would say Nebraska should win. I think next week, regardless of how tonight goes, is a should win against Northwestern. I think Minnesota has enough advantages or potential advantages in the run game. And even in terms of, if you're one to believe in history, 5 in a row is 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Haven't won there in a decade. It was 10 years ago this year in 2015 that Nebraska last won up there in Minneapolis. But what I appreciate about Matt Rule is that it's not about that. It's about this team playing its best game.
And it's, you know what? I like how Rule sometime, I think it was last year, goes, I had nothing to do with that. I like, hey, man, I wasn't here. This is a new team. This is a new mindset, etc. So, yeah, to your point. Now, with that being said, the fact still stands. You ain't won there in 10 years. So, no matter who the coach was, you still haven't won there in 10 years. That's something they've got to take care of. You may remember this, Austin. It went like viral. The photographer that just went absolutely ape crazy. You know what I'm saying? I can't even think of his name. Text line, if you can remember that photographer that was a Nebraska fan, and he was just talking about how bad of a debacle it was for Nebraska. Because although it was infuriating watching that game, it was hilarious.
The guy.
You can see
yeah,
it.
I can picture him.
Glasses.
Yeah.
It was just hilarious watching this dude break down the game because everything he was saying was spot on, man. But it shows you the amount of frustration Nebraska has suffered at the hands of PJ Fleck on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. My son Aiden went actually when he was an undergrad. That might have been the year that he went to that game with some buddies, and it was just a debacle. Just a debacle.
I have been to 3 sporting events for Nebraska against Minnesota in my life in the Twin Cities. Number 1 was a 54-21 Gopher win in football. Number 2, Minnesota men's basketball put up 100 on Nebraska on a game that Nebraska's starting point guard got sent back home for breaking curfew. And game number 380 was Hoodiegate, when Scott Frost calls out his players for being soft and wanting to wear hoodies in the pregame drizzle that was going on. Those are the 3 times I've ever been to Minneapolis for a Husker sporting event, and it's not great. It's why I stuck around back here.
Maybe it's you.
It's probably me. But I've been there the whole decade. It hasn't been me the whole decade. It hasn't been me the whole time. But certainly in Minneapolis, it's me. And even though Matt Rule and his staff and his players aren't looking back, AD, I think it's fair for us to do just to see how far this program has come from Marcus Satterfield to Dana Holgerson in just 2 years. Tony White and John Butler.
Yeah.
Ed Foley to Mike Eckler.
Massive.
Nebraska's changed ADs in that time.
Massive.
Minnesota hasn't. Then you look on the field. Nebraska's leading passer and leading rusher in 2023 were both Heinrich Harburg.
That seems crazy, man.
Now you've gone from that to Dylan Raiola and Emmett Johnson in just 2 years. From Billy Kemp from Virginia to Isaiah Hunter leading you in yards, the Cal transfer, or Ja'Cory Barney Jr. leading you in catches. And that's just on the offense. Not that Nebraska's offense is perfect by any means. We talk about the struggles in the red zone, talk about maybe the turnover bug starting to bite Dylan Raiola a little bit. But think about the offense that you and I sat down and watched for Nebraska football 12 times a year, and the offense that you and I sat down and watched with the Colts and the Steelers 17 times a year, 29 times a year. We saw offensive mediocrity.
Let's not talk about
on
the
a good
right
weekend
now at all.
But in just a year and a half, AD, just a year and a half, the strides this Nebraska offense has made.
Yeah. You look at earlier in the year where, O-line was a question mark, and quite honestly, there's still some question marks there as far as consistency, if we would. There were a lot of question marks that we had. And to see this offense flip the script the way they have, obviously not totally, because we still are our worst enemy at times. You look at the 3 turnovers we had last week. And again, I keep prefacing this, and I the one interception that he thrown was just, that was on Dylan. The other one, though, the other 2, if Ja'Cory's got to settle in the zone, you don't just sit there. When you're in the zone, you're playing soft cover 2. You got to attack the ball.
Go back to it.
You got to go back to it. You cannot wait, especially we had an aggressive defense like we knew the Terps were going to be. In this secondary for Minnesota, they've got some guys out there that can come after the ball as well. Not all of them. There's one that's suspect out there. In fact, Jay was talking about him. I think it's 16 or 17. Yeah.
Yep.
Listen.
He looks more like me.
Dane better torch that dude. I mean, I don't care who's on him. Harburg better torch that dude as far as that goes. However, they have to make sure that they're on the same page. And, at the end of the day, though, Raiola the one that threw it. It's an interception. They have to make sure they're on the same page. We cannot give just those unforced. It's like in baseball, unforced errors. Like, you know what? Those are things to where you got to communicate to avoid those type of situations. Because, again, you cannot give CPR to Minnesota. Cannot do it.
No, Nebraska gave more than enough life to Michigan State and Maryland, teams that had Nebraska, maybe not on the ropes, but certainly had Nebraska stumbling a little bit before Nebraska was able to rally. AD, let me ask you this. Through 6 games this season, Nebraska is averaging 41 points per game. Where do you think that number ends up? As you get into the teeth of conference play, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, UCLA before another bye week, and then Penn State, Iowa. Do you think Nebraska can stay north of 35 points per game over the next 6? Where do you want to see this Husker offense settle?
I tell you what, you look at Nebraska's offense and the opponents they have coming up. Obviously, Northwestern, showed a lot. They went in and to a battered Penn State team, just mentally more than anything else. But they went into Happy Valley and beat them, and slugged it out with them. That is not going to be an easy game. And Austin, I said this a month ago, and it's not like I told you so type thing. It's just like, no, wounded animals are dangerous.
Yeah.
UCLA proved that, as far as that goes. Northwestern, a team that didn't start off all that well, and just even preseason wasn't projected to do much, goes into Penn State and beats them. You look at Nebraska, obviously focusing on tonight, but, against a team that is wounded.
Mm-hmm.
But if you impose your will, because you think about this, Oz, we should have beat Maryland by at least 17 last week.
It was on the table.
At least that. It was on the table.
Mm-hmm.
We gave them a lot of opportunities to gift wrap to them. The remaining schedule they got just for the next couple of weeks, of course, you got Northwestern, Southern Cal, which will be tough. We all know that. UCLA is going to be – there's not an easy game that we have left. We have games that should be easier. And again, I quote, should be easier.
Right.
And it starts with tonight there in Minneapolis, the Gophers, man. So tonight, it would not shock me if Nebraska was north of 40. It would not shock me if they were north of 40 if they take care of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
If they take care of the ball and do not gift wrap presents for Minnesota, they should see north of 40. But they have to come out and pose their will. In fact, going to the text line real fast, it was Twizzler said here, and Twizzler, I'm right with you. He goes, we let everyone know we are serious team to not take lightly, and our coach isn't going anywhere. Statement win tonight. I'll agree with you the first part. I think we're a serious team because the other part we just don't know yet. I mean, that's just something that's unknown. But Twizzler, all due serious, man. I agree with you, man. Nebraska, you have a chance. Now, granted, Louisville, Miami's that's going to be coming on here in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That'll be on at 6:00. But this Minnesota-Nebraska game, and Miami should probably beat the brakes off of Louisville as far as that goes. So there probably should be some lost interest in that one. Hopefully, Nebraska follows suit and make sure about 8:00, 8:15, yeah, this is done.
Mm-hmm.
But depends, and it goes to what Twizzler said, though. Austin, they have to come out and punch teams in the mouth. And I'm going to pose it back to
Well,
you.
and then keep punching.
Exactly. You can't just hit. It's like a boxer. You don't hit him. No, knock him out.
They punched Michigan State first.
Yes.
How'd that work out?
Yes. And allowed them to come right back in it. Maryland the same way. They kept playing with their food.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be crucial tonight for them to do that. I'm going to say this. How crucial do you think special teams will be tonight?
Always crucial. Always. I mean, that's kind of been how Minnesota's managed to beat Nebraska and a lot of teams in the old Big Ten West managed to hang in games and beat Nebraska. I don't know if it's a clear, distinct advantage for Nebraska necessarily, but at least it's even.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Minnesota has the same level of return game that's killed Nebraska before. I think they're going to want to get the ball in Coy Parich's hands, I believe, on punt returns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got to make sure you wrap that guy up. Kick returns, not necessarily scaring you as much. Nebraska's done a pretty good job covering them, all things considered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm less worried about the coverage units, as I still get a little gun-shy, a little nervous, AD, when Nebraska trots a field goal kicker out there or Archie Wilson even, who hasn't had that much of an opportunity to put that leg on display. According to Steve Sipple, it's a beautiful night up there in the Twin Cities, but you've been in Minnesota enough, you've been in the Midwest Great Lakes long enough to know that can turn on a dime.
Could change pretty quick.
The wind picks up or, something else starts happening. You just never know.
No.
So I think it's going to be a factor. I don't expect a splash play from Nebraska every week. Kind of felt like at least to me, like they've used up their bag of tricks for a couple weeks. So if they're able to just play steady and not regress in special teams, that's huge. Let me ask you this, AD. If Kenneth Williams keeps going at an angle instead of turning straight up field, he scores, right?
Yeah,
if he runs to the right pylon instead of taking it straight up the hash, that's 6 points, isn't it?
He's going to get better looking at those angles and how those angles are going to go. He has been, just the special teams in general. We've been talking a lot about them with that clip. He's been a breath of fresh air the entire. I was trying to pull it up, Austin. I totally lost it when I was in the truck. It was showing the comparison numbers between last year's team. This team already within 6 games has more yards, I believe, returned than they did the entire year last year. In a nutshell, the entire year.
Maybe the last 2 or 3 years combined.
Yes, and that shows you how deficient our special teams was. It really shows you how malignant, how deficient it was. And it's almost, it makes you really, when you look at it, comparison side by side, it makes you shocked we won 6 games we did in the regular season as far as that goes last year with such an inefficient special teams. And so it's been a breath of fresh air to see that. So like I said, I look forward to seeing it. And like you mentioned, Archie's not had a lot of opportunities, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because when your offense is putting up points, well, that's a good thing. He's not out there punting often. But at the same time, I think there will be some situations, obviously, tonight that he will. Nebraska got to score every single time. I hope enough. But nevertheless, it's going to be interesting for him as well. And like you mentioned, that weather can change up there by the Great Lakes area, by the land of 10,000 lakes. That's for sure.
One last thing before we go to break, and we'll bring in Raph to join us in our next segment. Joe B. on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. I want to see Nebraska beat Minnesota badly enough that PJ Fleck starts pulling at his tie. Whether it's loosening it to throw in frustration or tightening the noose.
Hey, Joe B, baby, I'm right with you, man. I am right with you. The way that man has mocked Nebraska, and first of all, I'm not knocking PJ Fleck because the dude wins. I mean, people would say, I think it's, it gets a little irritable because he talks more like a Signetti. Now, I don't know if you heard already. I like Signetti. He may be cocky, but he backs it up. He backs it up. Right? That's all that matters. He backs it up. I'm right with you, Joe B. I want them to make that tie feel like it's just like a death grip on his neck from the pressure and the frustration he's going to have.
We'll go to break, got another segment here in the 5 o'clock hour. Then we'll wrap things up on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate by the time kickoff rolls around 7 o'clock. He's AD. I'm Austin. We got Chris Raff joining the proceedings after this. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tag machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum. Fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
When the clock strikes 0 after every Nebraska football game, there's only one place to go for instant coverage. Tune in for the Husker After Party Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket for each game, win or lose. Call in with all your takes or text the show at 464-5685 and hear quotes from the players and coaches too. It's the Husker After Party Postgame Show Sponsored by Anderson Ford and Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates,
financing,
savings,
and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC, doing life together.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Bonsall Pool and Spa's annual Spooktacular sale is here. Now through November 1st, get an extra $1,000 off hot tubs at an already low sale price and get $500 off the already low sale prices on infrared and traditional saunas. All hot tub water care products and accessories are also for sale for the Spooktacular sale, now through November 1st at Bonsall Pool and Spa at 33rd and Highway 2. Call for more info at 402-488-0148 or visit bonsallpool.com.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Raising Cane's.
Raising Cane's and raising something else here on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. Big thanks to our friends at Raising Cane's. Hey, football fans, this season, Raising Cane's in downtown Lincoln is the place to be before and after the game. Stop by 14th and P Street 2 hours before every home game for giveaways, good vibes, and their signature hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast, and, of course, that legendary Cane's sauce. And when the final whistle blows, Cane's keeps the party going with live DJs from whatever collective and unmatched energy for 3 hours after the game. I'm Austin Norman. More importantly, it's AD and Raph, the drive reunion. Fellas, take it away.
With a kiss. Rafferty, how are things down in Sweet Home, Alabama, my dear brother?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Ready for some Nebraska football. That's what I'm ready for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Raph, you know, me and Austin and even Nick earlier this morning, we're talking about just matchups, etc. Really want to get your input, you know, just on any program. It's, you know, like Nebraska, you're fixated on the QB, you know, at any school that's competing. Raiola, three picks last week, and you already know how me and you've talked a number of times about this. And I asked Nick this when I pose this question to you this evening. How important is it for Raiola to get on schedule tonight? And I mean to have things clicking. We're 6 games in now. You know, we could say maybe in 3 games in, hey, they're still learning each other. 6 games in, Holgerson's got, you know, obviously he's got a nice rhythm. They know each other well. They know each other's tendencies. They have that trust, I would say, that's there as well. How crucial it will be for him tonight, number one, to take care of the ball, number two, to run the offense efficiently, which takes care of number one.
Oh, it's always, you know, for that to happen. That's huge for the offense. However, I will say this about Dylan Raiola is he's got such a short memory. Like,
yeah, that's a great
even
point.
Even if he is struggling, he's able to put it to the side and continue on. Example, that last drive in the fourth quarter last week. And then also too, I want him to be careful with the ball. However, I don't want him to become conservative with the ball. Like I don't So I still want him to play his game. I don't want him just to think, I don't want to throw any interceptions, because if you do that, then you become too conservative. So there's got to be that kind of that equal medium there where I want him to, give the receiver some chances. And like you said, those 3 interceptions last week, you could look back at them and Peyton Manning always says every interception has a story.
Right.
There were stories behind those interceptions that might not have all been him, but since he is the quarterback, like we say, he's the one who takes the brunt of it, which, he fully will take the brunt of that, just because we've seen this year just the way he's in the corner of all of his teammates. And if it means him taking the blame for an interception, he will gladly do that.
Austin and Ralph, I'm glad that's a great point. You brought up the short memory, because you think about the pass he threw. Oh goodness, our tight end, reminds me of blank, number 44, Lindenmeyer. That touchdown. First of all, you can bring it back. The pass he threw to Harburg, just both of his feet were just tiptoeing in bounds. Then he throws that dime over the outstretched hand of the defender rolling to the left. The defender was rolling to the left, and Lindenmeyer catches that, toe touches in the end zone. Raph, that short memory, if he had any hint of a delay of gun shy, he doesn't throw that pass, man. He has a very short memory, bro.
Yeah, and sometimes, like I said, it can get him in trouble. Like, you go back and watch that final drive, that pass he throws across the field to Lindenmeyer. Probably every coach in the country is going to say, "Don't throw that ball." However, him having the confidence in his arm strength and what he's able to do, he makes that throw, and that was the spark that kind of got that drive going. So, I mean, like I said, I don't want him to be super conservative. I want him to be careful with the ball. That's what any coach is going to tell him. However, I still want him to be able to go out and kind of have a little bit of that, I hate to say that, gunslinger mentality, but I want him to have that confidence to go out and make throws if he feels that he has the ability to make them.
Austin, that pass he threw across his body all the way across, man. It's like in basketball, your sport is coach goes, no. Yes, keep shooting it. And it goes in.
That's one of those that you have to trust your player, because as funky as it looked, it wasn't really a high-risk throw.
Mm-hmm.
There was no one within 10, 15 yards of it.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why he threw it. Now, mechanics are funky. You'd love to be able to set your feet and plant, turn back the other direction. But there was no one there. No, he had time to float it. Lindenmeyer could go get it wherever the ball was floated. So I think that's when you just credit your guy for making a play. And that's always a fascinating balance as a coach, for when do you pull back on the reins a little bit and when do you loosen up? Because a guy like Dylan Raiola, with a lot of what he's able to do, you want to make sure that he's comfortable, he's natural, he's playing the way that he needs to play. And that's where I think, over the course of the last couple games, you've had some wiggle room. And now hasn't been comfortable, not the exact type of game you want to try to get away with it with. But you didn't really have to get away with much against Akron and Houston Christian.
Right.
You could just go do pretty much whatever you wanted. You're going to be better. That's that. Michigan State and Maryland are games where I think it's okay, especially since Nebraska won, that Dylan Raiola maybe pushed the envelope a little bit, saw some things he wasn't used to, and made those bad decisions. But now bowl eligibility is on the line. Not like it's at risk or anything. That's you're 5-1. You're halfway through the season. Here's a turning point. But now you've seen some Power 5 level defenses with some athletes that can fly around and make plays. You know what you can get away with. You know how teams are going to want to try to get in your head and confuse you. Now lock it in.
You know what, gentlemen, Austin, you bring up a good point in that they've seen some things. And as far as that goes, we look against Michigan, they're going to be hard pressed to see another defense like that, with an exception of a USC, and depending on what Penn State shows up. So they've already seen what they're the best, pretty much the top of what they're going to see. Nothing they should see here should surprise them as far as physicality, athleticism, and speed and strength, etc. With that being said, Raph, from the defensive standpoint, for Nebraska, Minnesota is not going to have we don't know. I can't. Have you seen reports? Is Darius Taylor playing the running back for Minnesota?
He is not listed as questionable.
Not listed as questionable.
Which makes me wonder if that's some head games from PJ Fleck.
Which would
not surprise you in the slightest.
It's stuff like that. In 2024, he had 987 yards total, 10 touchdowns, if I could talk right, over 204 carries. And Ralph, this year, just 25 carries for 64 yards because of the hammy that he's been battling. And it does not surprise me that Fleck and company did not announce that. With that being said, Ralph, is this a game? Because we know, first of all, we know he's not 100%. We do know that. If you're your defense and you're bringing in a guy who's not touched the ball, so far as that goes, fellas, he doesn't have a lot of football reps in him right now. If I'm Butler, I'm gonna pose it to you. What are you telling your defense if you're Butler, you're Terry Braden and company on the defensive side of the ball?
Just disrupt chaos. I mean, just the same thing you always would. I mean, if you can make that team one-dimensional, that's huge. And then also another thing too is you look at the size of Drake Lindsay. I mean, 6'5", 230, not the most mobile runner out there. So I mean, if you could make them one-dimensional and get him sitting in the pocket to where you can, once again, the defensive line, the front seven's huge for this game. If they can create chaos and shut down the run and the pass without having to blitz and run blitz, I mean, that'll be huge for Nebraska because they'll be able to set more guys back there in coverage in hopes of, he's got a big arm. So there'll be more people back there, in coverage.
I'm going to take things almost the opposite direction. I think the instructive game to a degree for Nebraska is Michigan, just in the big picture sense of you didn't take the run game away from a freshman quarterback. You didn't make him make very difficult throws, but it's because Drake Lindsay isn't very mobile. And because I don't think Minnesota has dudes that can beat Nebraska, I'm almost more aggressive if I'm John Butler. I'm not afraid to bring more pressure, make Minnesota commit an extra guy to block, whether that's a tight end or a running back, because I do think there's a pretty distinct advantage for Nebraska's corners over Minnesota's pass catchers today. So sure, you can rush 4 and let him sit there all day and see if that arm can, find those windows or those holes. But if he's a freshman quarterback and I've stopped the run, and the defensive secondary is the strength of my team, I'm saying Sierra Wright, go lock up. Yeah. Donnie Jones, this is a big game for you. Right. Go lock up. Andrew Marshall, this is why we went and got you. Deshaun Singleton, we know you're down in the box for any tight ends. Rex Guthrie or Marquise Buford, play that position of the deep kind of free safety and go get it. Because I think if Nebraska thinks it can get after the quarterback, John Butler said this week, that's when he thinks his defense plays better. When he's with the F it mentality, were his words from the press conference. Go get after the freshman quarterback. Don't let him be comfortable. Hit him a couple times, get in his head, make him move his feet off platform, all that good stuff, because you have the defensive backfield that you do.
If Ralph, and awesome to go with what you said, if the Gophers can't run, we are forced them right into the strength of the nation's leading secondary. Ralph, with that being said, you know what I'm saying? I am trying to confuse this kid. First of all, I'm bottling things up in the middle. The Elijah Judy's, the Warnies. Is Davis playing this game? That we got to
believe so.
I think Davis is playing this game. I know he's back. Those guys are going, if they can jam up passing lanes, you make this team one-dimensional. I'm telling Sierra, like you mentioned, Austin, I'm telling those guys have a field day back there.
Yeah, no, it's big time. And the thing, too, is to shut down the big plays. Like we talked about, the running game. It's like, if you're going to run blitz, if you're going to cause chaos, then you make sure you tackle. You can't be run blitzing and missing the tackle, because that's where those big chunk runs come from. So Nebraska, just if they stay within themselves and tackle, usually they're fine. It's just when they miss those you go back and watch the chunk plays, usually it's a missed tackle that causes all the frustrations.
And that was something they did not do well against Maryland. They did not tackle very well out against Maryland. Raph, as we go out, what's your score prediction, brother?
Well, earlier I was saying 34-23, but Harrison convinced me last night that it's going to be a dominant Nebraska win. We said 34-10 last night. However, I'm changing it to 34-11 because I have a Raph's good take today. My niece Kala turns 11 years old this weekend.
Happy birthday, Kala!
So somehow, some way, it's going to be 34-11. Maybe they'll kick a field goal and then go for 2 at the end of the game or something. 34-11. So Kala's birthday.
I love it.
AD, give yours. I'm holding off on mine.
Austin, I'm going. I think they said this morning 30s. I think I said this morning 34-14. I'm going to say 37-14 Nebraska. Yeah.
There we have it. AD, Raph, appreciate you fellas. Have a good rest of your weekend.
You bet. GBR.
For AD and Raph, this is Austin. We got a whole nother hour taking you up to kickoff on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Back in a jiff.
Are you looking to upgrade your equipment and keep cash in your pocket? Through October at Landmark Implement, get up to a 24-month waiver on select John Deere tractors and combines, or lock in a 2.9% fixed rate for 36 months, followed by a qualified standard rate for another 36 months. Whether you're thinking of this year's harvest or planning ahead, we've got a solution that works for your bottom line. Visit your local Landmark Implement for more details, or check us out at landmarkimp.com and experience the Landmark difference.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Does your vehicle ready for the change in season? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tag machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates,
financing,
savings,
and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in season? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
When the clock strikes 0 after every Nebraska football game, there's only one place to go for instant coverage. Tune in for the Husker After Party Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket for each game, win or lose. Call in with all your takes or text the show at 464-5685 and hear quotes from the players and coaches, too. It's the Husker After Party Postgame Show, sponsored by Anderson Ford and Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herb Street's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle-cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by Currency.
That's right. Welcome back in. It is the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, 93.7 Ticket and TicketFM.com. Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? You can explore new career options at Currency, hiring full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, and other fields. Apply today at GoCurrency.com. Let's go to our Aloe Fiber VIP line and welcome in Adam Carriker, host of the Adam Carriker Show. Adam, under an hour to go before kickoff. Nebraska and Minnesota. I know you talked about this game a little bit earlier today, but since you got off the air and you're back on, anything stand out to you? Anything strike you about this matchup between the Huskers and the Golden Gophers coming up here tonight?
Oh man, it's one of those things where it's just time to get more monkeys off our back. Beating Minnesota in Minnesota. You think about the all-white uniforms, haven't won back-to-back road games since 2006. You think about Matt Rule's first game, getting a little bit of maybe revenge for that if you want to look at it that way. You look at Emmett Johnson going home. They did the walkthrough on Emmett Johnson's high school practice field earlier today. And it's just like getting all these stupid little monkeys off our back. And I feel like there's about 4 or 5 little monkeys that need to stop jumping on the bed and need to stop being on our back as well. And just so we can just start moving forward as a program. And I think that's what tonight's about. I'm not going to lie to you. Somebody mentioned it to me since the show today. And they said, what if the Minnesota game tonight turns into what the Wisconsin game was last year? And I about fell over in my chair because that's quite the expectation. It could. I don't expect it. But, man, that would be awesome.
The only thing I would push back against is I'm not sure this Minnesota offense puts up 25 like Wisconsin did last year, but I do think the overall picture, though, I mean, that's the game Nebraska became bowl eligible last year, and it wouldn't surprise me if this game is maybe a little back and forth in the early going at the very least, but this is a chance, just like Wisconsin last year, Adam, for Nebraska to flex its muscle, to get that monkey off its back. So even if I don't see the 100% correlation in the game script, I think if you zoom out to 30,000 feet, big picture, I kind of like that comparison.
Yeah, maybe we don't put up 44 and they don't score 25, but maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe it's 31-10 or something like that, and it looks similar enough. And if you remember that Wisconsin game, I want to say the only thing, and I'm not saying we have to blow them out. If we just score one more point than them, I will be happy, and there'll be plenty to talk about afterwards, of course. But the offensive line, that was their best game they played last year. They completely obliterated Wisconsin's defensive front. Can we do that tonight to Minnesota? I don't know. I don't know that's what it would take to win. I don't know that's what it would take to even win by double digits. But that's what I remember from that Minnesota game. We had the Ty Robinson monster formation at the goal line. That's the first time we saw that. And then the offensive line just obliterated them. But barring that, it doesn't have to look like Wisconsin. It would just be pretty freaking awesome. For me, getting a win, looking good, continuing to improve in things we need to improve in, a.k.a. the trenches, O-line, D-line, and just continuing to be consistent in the things we have looked good in so far, that would make me very happy tonight.
The last time Nebraska won back-to-back road games, you knew about it. It was you, Iowa State and Kansas State back in 2006. Adam, just think about that for a moment. What does that tell you about, number one, this program? Did you ever think it would get to this point? And number two, the job Matt Rule has done to get Nebraska in a position where maybe fans aren't taking a win over Minnesota tonight for granted, but a place that, having not won back-to-back road games in consecutive weeks since you were in school, which, not to make you sound old because you're not, but I mean, in terms of football program years, it's 20 seasons for a program that used to do that like clockwork.
You make a great point. Yeah, I do remember that. It feels like a millennium ago. And if you ask my kids, I am old, so it's okay to point that out. I hope we never experience anything like that again. And just a reminder to folks out there, like, we have fired 2 9-win coaches in the past. So from where Nebraska was to the expectations to where we're hopefully going again. And I even said this earlier to Tom Hannafin, Penn State insider, who joined me. I was like, man, we gave you the 11-win curse. Like, if you don't win 11 games, your coach gets fired. You guys can have it. And if we get to that point again, that'd be awesome. But right now we're building towards it. And I think tonight, I don't mean to call Minnesota a stepping stone, but for this program in Lincoln, Nebraska, this game tonight is a stepping stone, hopefully in the right direction.
Let's start on the defensive side of the ball. What does Nebraska need to take away, and who are your key players for Nebraska in helping limit the Golden Gopher offense?
Oh, man, ironically, I'm not going to start with stopping the run. Minnesota's awful at running the ball. They're 15th out of 18 teams in the Big Ten. They ran it for 30 yards last week. So if they go out and they run it for 150 yards tonight, I'm gonna revisit this conversation later. So that better not happen. But the defense is the strength of their team, and offensively, their passing game is what they do the best. Their quarterback he has 9 touchdowns to 3 INTs, a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's got a big arm. He's got some potential, which feeds into a pretty good pass defense that we have. So I'm going to come back to guys like Dawson McCullough and Williams Nwaneri, who's starting to come into his own, and guys who can wreak havoc in the backfield, whether it's pressuring the quarterback. As I'm sure you know, Nwaneri has led the Big Ten in quarterback pressures 2 straight weeks in a row, 12 combined quarterback pressures the last 2 games combined. So can he continue to do that? Can Nwaneri get in McCullough get in the backfield, whether it be run plays, pass plays, and create havoc in the backfield? Those are 2 guys that kind of stick out to me, and those are some things. This is not a Minnesota offense that is built for 2nd and 13, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. If you get them in those situations, that's not what they're built for.
The interesting thing I think about this defense is exactly what you said, is that it doesn't have maybe quite the challenge in stopping the run as it has in previous weeks. Matt Rule mentioned that Minnesota is really good at outside zone, and that his team is still trying to improve against that play. But you mentioned the pass rush for Nebraska, getting after a freshman quarterback. Adam, when you see that a team struggles to run the ball and you see a freshman quarterback on the other side, in your brain as a defensive player, are you saying, yeah, let's just have our defensive line go to work 3-on-5 or 4-on-5 and then drop 7 guys back in coverage? Or with a defensive backfield like Nebraska's, as a defensive lineman, are you saying, yeah, bring me 1 or 2 extra guys so we can all but assuredly get to this quarterback and rattle him early on?
That's an interesting one, because I'm trying to put myself in John Butler's shoes, and he's the guy who likes to blitz, and he stunted the defensive line quite a bit. That's something he's shown that he likes to do, at least with what we've got personnel-wise this year. It's crazy, because this is already the 3rd freshman quarterback we have faced this year. 2 true freshmen and now a redshirt tonight. It's crazy to me in just our 7th game. But if it were me, I'm just an attacking type guy. I mean, I love to blitz. I love to confuse. And then all of a sudden you show blitz and you bail. You show man and you bail into zone. Then all of a sudden you're kind of sitting there and you do a delayed blitz because you didn't look like you were doing anything. I just love mixing it up. But I'm always going to be more of the attacking type mindset. Guys who get after the quarterback for a living, we tend to be that way a little bit.
And you made a career out of it at the very least, and it goes a long way. I am curious to see how exotic Nebraska gets, but I think that'll be one key difference for Nebraska on the defensive side of the ball, is to make sure you limit that Minnesota run game. Don't be the team that they're looking forward to playing because they think they can get it over on you. That's what Nebraska didn't necessarily do well against the first freshman quarterback it played in Michigan. And obviously that's a much different team context, Adam. But what Nebraska didn't do against Michigan was take away that run. They let Michigan hit a couple of those big ones, including one right before halftime, and didn't force the game into a freshman quarterback's hands. I don't know about you, but I feel a little bit better about Nebraska's chances to put the game on the right shoulder of Drake Lindsey tonight.
Yeah, I would agree with you in that aspect. And he's obviously not quite the runner that, Bryce Underwood is. Most guys aren't, or even Malik, even though Malik Washington didn't want to run last week, he can. So he's not quite the same type of threat with his feet either. The only thing, with what I just said about being attacking and stunting and all that, knowing you're playing a team that is not great at running the ball, the risk you take if you do too much of it is eventually, does one guy get out of his gap? Does one guy not reach where he's supposed to be stunning to? If you're looping outside to contain, does the guy just not get there one time? And all of a sudden now you're giving up a 50-yard run or a 60-yard touchdown run. Whereas had you just lined up and done a little bit more base, you might give up, instead of a 2 to 3 yard rush, maybe 4 to 5 yard rush a little bit more often, but you avoid giving up that 80-yard touchdown rush or that long touchdown run like you mentioned we did against Michigan, which is where I'm curious to see what John Butler does tonight. Does he play a little bit more base? And I don't want to say conservative because that's not the right word, but make Minnesota earn it and be consistent moving the ball up and down the field, because they haven't been great at that, because you don't want to give them a cheap touchdown at the same time.
Yeah, and you can simplify things for your guys, allow them to play faster and freer when they have to, still communicate clearly, but maybe less to be on the same page about. You're listening to Adam Carriker. I'm Austin Norman here on our A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Flip the things around to the Nebraska offense here, Adam. A lot's been made of the Emmett Johnson return game. Of course, he was on Nebraska's roster, buried on the depth chart in 2023 in Matt Rule's first game when Nebraska lost to Minnesota 13-10. The storyline of Emmett Johnson returning home, are we making too much of it? Are we making the right amount of it? Or making not enough of it?
I mean, honestly, I've only heard it a couple times this week. I wouldn't say, and from what I've heard anyways, and I don't get the chance to listen to absolutely everybody. But I don't think too much has been made. I think the right amount has been made. I think when you're doing the pregame walkthrough on your high school home field, I mean, that's a pretty good indicator as well. Anytime a guy gets an opportunity to go home, to go play against the biggest college in the state where he grew up in, I think there's something to that, especially an important player like Emmett Johnson is for us. So it does mean just a little bit more, I'm sure, for him. So I have no issues with the way it's been talked about this week anyways.
What did you like about his performance against Maryland? What do you think is replicable tonight against Minnesota?
Oh, I love the way he ran the ball. Oh, man, he ran the ball with violence and hate in his heart towards the defense. Like, he was out to prove a point. And it probably went back to Matt Rule in the press conference earlier that week saying the narrative that we can't run the ball, and I forget his exact wordage, but he basically said it was a joke. And you could tell they made a point as an offense, as a coaching staff, we're going to come out and run the ball. You could see Emmett wanted to make a point of, we're going to come out and run the ball. And, after the game, I'm kind of like, he's listed at 200 pounds, so he's not the biggest back in the world. But, man, we've had some issues in short yardage situations, goal line situations, even in the red zone when things become more condensed. If he's going to run like that, give the ball to that guy, or at least put him in the game and give him a chance, because he's running like a much bigger back than he is. And so I'm like, man, let's give the ball to Emmett in those type situations, and maybe our success rate will go up a little bit.
Nebraska has looked to throw on first and goal to go quite a bit. It worked out for him with the touchdown to Dane Key, but it hasn't been consistent for Nebraska at all in the red zone. Is that something Nebraska can clean up over the course of the next 6 conference games? Or at this point in the season, are you who you are, I guess, when it comes to what your ability is in a goal-to-go situation?
Oh, man, that's one of those situations where normally I would say you are who you are. But again, it was, what was the Wisconsin game? Like the 11th game of the year last year when we saw the Ty Robinson monster formation. And we've seen Cam Lanhart in the first game of the year going at fullback. We haven't seen the monster I just like the monster formation, if you couldn't tell. So
are you jealous? Did you want to be that guy?
Oh, are you kidding me? Like, why does everyone want to make me a long snapper? Put me in the backfield. Let me do something there. Anyways. So I would love to see something like that. There's always adjustments that can be made. And normally you kind of are who you are in those situations. But I saw Holgorsen. We all saw Holgorsen call a different game last week. And so I can't help but wonder if he said before the season, hey, what we do the first month of the year might be different than month 2 versus what we do in November. So I'm curious to see the progression of what he wants to do in those short yardage goal line situations. My gut does tell me he still loves to throw the ball, and he's got some taller, bigger-bodied receivers like Dane Key, and he might still like to do that quite a bit. I'm just curious to see if there's a few other tweaks in how we run the ball in those situations.
You say the word tweaks, and I think that's an important one, because for as much hand-wringing as there's been at times about Dylan Raiola and the interceptions and the run game not getting going, you pointed out the Matt Rule comments. We're sitting here 6 games into the year, Adam, and Nebraska's averaging 41 points per game. They put up 27 on Michigan, not a number they've reached very often, almost hit 40 against Michigan State, and then mid-30s against Maryland as well. At the very least, I feel like Dana Holgorsen has seemed to have raised the floor of this offense. Now, that really bad stretch against Michigan State certainly comes into your mind, but I think that's the improvement just in terms of the pure talent level across the board. Is that, I don't know about you, but I feel like this Nebraska team has the ability to end droughts or at least move the ball and not go 3 and out nearly as often as it did the first time Nebraska visited Minnesota under Matt Rule.
I think that's a great point. I think raising the floor of the offense is the best way to put it. The ceiling was always a little bit higher just because we always had talented guys at Nebraska. But maybe the consistency or the execution or penalties or turnovers. I mean, in Matt Rule's first year, we were minus 17 in penalties for the year. I mean, I can't fathom that stat. And we improved by 15, and we were still minus 2 in penalties in year 2 under Matt Rule. Right now, we're plus 3. In fact, I don't think Nebraska's finished in the plus turnover department at the end of a season. I think it was 2020. I could be wrong on that. I have to double check that, but it's been about a half a decade. So I think much better in the penalty department. Like watching Maryland kind of implode penalty-wise, I was like, oh, that's how I used to feel watching Nebraska. It's nice to be the beneficiary for a change, and then being in the plus department and the turnover department, as long as we can continue to do that, I think that helps raise the floor because you're not shooting yourself in the foot as much. But the skill positions are improved, what he's been able to do schematically and how he's progressing and how he's calling the game. I think the floor of this offense is much, much better. There was a lot of games the past couple of years where I'd be like, hey, we scored 24 points. Now I'd be like, oh, we scored 24 points. It wouldn't be the same feeling, I don't think, for Husker fans.
24 points is what Nebraska put up in the first half against Maryland. It felt like they left some meat on the bone, especially with the way the first possession ended. I guess big picture then, Adam, as we start bringing things to a little bit of a close here on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show, is this a game that in your mind you would attach the word should in front of win for Nebraska, or is this more of an opportunity for Nebraska? If they play well and they play the way they're capable of, Nebraska's going to like where it's at the end of the game.
I think to me they should win. When you look at, this is not a great Minnesota team. You look at Minnesota the past 3 or 4 years, this is probably, how do I phrase this, their least good team. And over the past, you can probably go back farther than 3 or 4 years, maybe 8 or 9 years, this might be the best Nebraska team we've had. So this is a game we should win. Now, it's Minnesota. It's all the stuff that I mentioned earlier with the monkeys that are currently still on our back until we get the win tonight. So you never know what will happen. But this is a game where we absolutely could win by 10, 14 points, easily into the double digits. We could also lose. I just want to get the win. And I just hope we look good doing it.
There you have it. Adam Carriker, host of the Adam Carriker Show here, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Husker game tonight. Anything else sports-wise on your docket this weekend, whether it's the kiddos or college football, Adam?
Oh, I've always got a million things going on with the kids. I'll spare everyone the details there. When you got 6 kids in multiple club sports, you're always busy. But Nebraska volleyball tonight taking on Michigan State. I'm sure you know they swept Indiana, who's ranked earlier this week. So we'll see what happens with Michigan State. There's actually, I think it just came out, Nebraska volleyball has been given a 52% chance. So better than 50% chance to finish the season undefeated, the regular season. So I'll be watching that. And then, the college football slate is phenomenal, as I'm sure you're aware.
Absolutely. Nebraska up 16-10 right now in East Lansing in the first set. We'll certainly be monitoring that volleyball post game right about halftime of the football game, actually. So while you're waiting for Husker football to get back, tune in right here, 93.7 The Ticket. We will have volleyball post game. Adam, appreciate you calling in. Enjoy the Husker game. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Go Big Red.
Adam joined us on our Aloe Fiber VIP line, and this segment of the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show has been brought to you by Currency. Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options at Currency, hiring full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, and other fields. Apply today at gocurrency.com. We'll go to break. Rudy Grace joins me for the next couple segments. We'll take you right up to kickoff of Nebraska and Minnesota, only here on 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com. Bonsall Pool & Spa's annual Spooktacular sale is here. Now through November 1st, get an extra $1,000 off hot tubs at an already low sale price and get $500 off the already low sale prices on infrared and traditional saunas. All hot tub water care products and accessories are also for sale for the Spooktacular sale, now through November 1st at Bonsall Pool & Spa at 33rd and Highway 2. Call for more info at 402-488-0148 or visit bonzalpool.com.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Hey guys, it's Adam Carriker here. As a former Husker and NFL player, I'm a health nut. Hydration and recovery starts at home. That's why I teamed up with Culligan of Lincoln. Soft water means better showers, cleaner dishes, and it protects my water heater and appliances. Their high-efficiency softener cuts salt and water usage. For drinking, I added a Culligan reverse osmosis. Bottled quality water right at my tap. Great taste, and it's certified to reduce tough contaminants like lead and PFAs. Right now, get up to $300 off a whole home system or just $9.95 per month for your first 3 months. Schedule your free water test at CulliganHuskers.com. That's CulliganHuskers.com. Culligan of Lincoln, water you love. Go Big Red.
Limited time offer, participating dealers, restrictions may apply. MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tagged machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Select Plumbing.
Welcome back to it. It is the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. Off Norman here, Rudy Grace there. Lots to get to yet in the final half an hour before kickoff. This segment brought to you by Select Plumbing, now servicing Seward and Milford in addition to Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area. For any plumbing issues, call Select Plumbing at 402-542-5319. Rudy, it's been a minute since I've seen you. How's fall ball gone?
Yeah, we just finished up. It was long, 6 days a week, going almost 5 hours a day. So, I mean, it was good. Obviously, we signed up to come play baseball here, so I have no complaints. It's been a long fall. Not glad it's over in that sense, but glad to get a rest going. Glad to take a little break and then get right back at it probably next week. So,
and people should know this isn't 5 hours of practice, lift, and meeting. This is 5 hours of baseball.
yeah, this is get to the field at 2:30, start hitting then, and then just roll into whatever's on the day, scrimmaging, just planning whatever the day is. It's 5 hours of baseball. So it was fun though.
Which is pretty much what we saw between Seattle and Detroit in the winner-take-all game. Were you a fan of that game as the Jays awaiting them? Do you think they needed to get it over with sooner? Like, how locked in were you on the 15-inning marathon?
Yeah, I went to bed after a little bit, but in terms of the Blue Jays fan, I was happy just that they played some longer baseball, had a trip up to Toronto, so it's like I was expecting it to work in our favor. Didn't. They dropped game 1, but it's all right. I mean, I love games that go along like that. You get to see a lot of like scheme stuff start changing. It's not just a regular baseball game anymore, so I saw they did the seventh inning stretch in the 14th inning. I saw they did that. So that's always fun to see.
I had no idea that was a thing. I did not know you could do multiple 7-inning stretches in a game. How are the Jays doing right now?
I think, still down 1-0 going into the 6th inning or so. So hopefully they figure it out. But
so they're doing better than Milwaukee is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, that's a bad series going on right now for them.
Elsewhere in college football, unranked Louisville leads number 2 Miami 14-0 late in the first quarter. It appears Miami is driving, though. They have second and goal from the Louisville 3 right now. So shout out to the Cards for coming out swinging again, up 14-0 over Miami. Of course, the business at hand, though, is Nebraska and Minnesota. Rudy, a game that Nebraska looks like they are still searching for bowl eligibility, as are the vast majority of teams across the country. What do you like about Nebraska's chances to become bowl eligible tonight against the Gophers?
Yeah, no, I like it. I think a big thing that stands out to me is the run game that's going to be here tonight. I think we kind of see that Minnesota's not a strong running team. I think they're pretty low. I think they might be last in the Big Ten in terms of like rushing yards on the season right now. And so I think that's going to be a huge thing that plays into a role here. Nebraska has great rush defense, and that's either going to shut down their running offense or we're going to see them kind of have to force passes on the elite secondary that Nebraska has. So I think it's a matchup that fares well in Nebraska's favor. I know history favors Minnesota right now, so that's kind of just something to watch for. But I think it's a game that Husker fans should feel confident going into. But again, nothing's ever for sure, especially when you're kind of scraping wins out by 3 sometimes and now. But I think it's one that they should have in the bag, hopefully.
You mentioned the mindset shift, and I think this is important to talk. Nebraska Wesleyan, Matt Rule didn't let it be about the past. He says, yeah, the history is the history, but don't put that on me. I'm here to change that. I'm here to handle my business. What was it like for you going through that coaching change and then seeing maybe the mentality shift if there was one?
No, yeah, absolutely. I was always someone kind of growing up where I was like, oh, the coach doesn't matter too much. We still got to swing the bat. But it's like then you get someone who comes in, knows exactly what they're talking about, someone who believes in the players, which I think is something that, yeah, Matt Rule's a great coach as is, but I think that's what kind of fuels this team to be good, is how much he believes in them, how much he trusts them. And I think when you're a player on a team like that, it's like, okay, like whether I go out there and mess up, whether I go out there and hit a game-winning double, it's like that guy's still going to trust me after the game. Maybe sure it changes in some instances, but at the end of the day, if your coach believes in you and you can feel that it's genuine, I think you're going to want to play for him. Like we've said it last year on our team, it's like if we have a bad practice, a bad game, like, yeah, we're mad at ourselves, but like we feel bad for our coach in a sense where it's like, I don't want to play bad for him. And I think we're starting to see that. A lot of these guys take pride in who their coach is. And I think that's something that not every school does truly have. So I think that's something that, like, that Rule prides himself on being a good coach. And I think it's because he's a player's coach, in my opinion.
As a college athlete, when you hear players coach or you think about players coach, I assume you don't take that as someone who, capitulates and bows down to everything the players want to do.
No.
Well, what does a players coach mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's someone for me that I've seen as like someone who listens to the players, respects the players. Like, yeah, we're there to work for you. We're there to win you games. But at the end of the day, like, we're humans too. And I think a lot of coaches kind of get lost in that of like perfection. And that's great too. Like, it's a good mindset to have. But when your coach kind of genuinely cares about you, wants you to win, wants you to develop as a player, which I think we're seeing here is, I think that goes miles further than just, oh, my coach wants to win. Like, I think you see a coach who actually cares about his players, like I've said, and it's something that, like, not every coach has that. I think Sark in Texas does a good job of that, but I don't think you're seeing that countrywide right now. And I think Rule is kind of starting to shift that. He does some stuff that I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like the podcast stuff. I'll say that on air. But other than that, like, I would love to play for a coach like Matt Rule if I was a football player for sure.
Totally fair. I mean, there's a lot of winds of change, and then the stability aspect. You feel like Nebraska's headed the right direction, and then here come the rumors, right? It is a story. Whether you like it or not, it is a story that there are ties between Matt Rule and Penn State. Now, of course, that's interesting because one of Minnesota's, key wins a handful of years ago was a home game against Penn State, really helped catapult the Gophers to, I think, their 11-2 year that they ended up having. This isn't the same Nebraska program that it's been for the last 5 years. It's also not the same Minnesota program that it's been over the last 5 years or so. I mean, shoot, 5 seasons ago, Minnesota comes to Lincoln with only like 40 or 50 guys on the travel roster during COVID and finds a way to beat Nebraska at home. Kind of continue the tailspin that Nebraska was in. It's interesting to keep in mind just how different these programs are, where history is one thing, but these two programs kind of feel like they're going in different directions, right? Minnesota kind of feels like it's hitting its head against a wall right now. It's kind of been the same team for the last few years. On the flip side of that, Rudy, Nebraska's ascendant. Nebraska's back on the way up, it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about that too. Like, as much as I want to be, the history's on the side of the Gophers, and it is, and just record history, sure. But this isn't the same Nebraska team that's been going out there for the Huskers year in, year out over the last 10 years or so. This is a team, like you're saying, is on the up and rise, and I think Dylan Raiola is a huge piece of that, no doubt. I think he's still playing as a young quarterback, which is perfectly fine, but he's making the smart reads. He's making kind of just doing the little things right, which is what you want out of a young quarterback. And so, yeah, I completely agree. I think Nebraska and Minnesota have the flip trajectories right now. Nebraska, there's, as much as it pains me to say deep down, their ceiling is definitely so high right now, and I think it's something that it's not just, they have the potential. It's like they're putting it together right now, and I think it's awesome to see.
It is awesome to see for Husker fans who are, again, on the precipice of bowl eligibility for back-to-back years, which is kind of crazy that we have to even bring that up. Either that Nebraska hasn't been bowl eligible in back-to-back years since 2013, 2014. I guess they did make it in 2015. So 2014, 2015 with the Foster Farms Bowl. So 15, 16, I guess it would be, as I talk myself through the history of Nebraska football. But even crazier than that, Rudy, the fact that Nebraska hasn't gone and won a road game in back-to-back weeks since 2006.
Yeah, that's...
How is that possible?
I don't know.
For any program.
I would have been 4 years old, I think. So that is a long time away. I feel like that is kind of like we're talking about, not a coaching issue at all, but I think it's something like that where if you harp on it, like my high school baseball coach, we weren't very good. I'll throw that out there, but nothing on him.
You recruited. That's
exactly.
the important part.
Yeah, nothing on him, but he always like instilled in us. He was like, we don't lose at home and we find ways to win on the road. Like that was always a thing, like building this identity on the road. And I think Nebraska's hopefully starting to get there because like as a Longhorn fan, when they go on the road, it's like, okay, like don't get me wrong, they lost at the Swamp, but it was like, we're going into the Swamp. We're still Texas. And it's like, you're still the team, same team at home, same team on the road. And I think that's kind of what Nebraska hasn't had in recent history. And so I think if they can flip that switch, that is what takes the good teams from being elite. If you could just win anywhere in a way.
Nebraska at Minnesota coming up in 25 minutes or so. Got a text from 7809 on our Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line. We will address that in kind of light of the bigger picture of Nebraska football one win away from bowl eligibility. He's Rudy. I'm Austin. We'll wrap things up on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show after this. The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Boxing is back this Saturday with Brawloween at the Complex. The Midwest's best professional boxers will display their best performances with hometown favorites Clyde Godzilla Johnson and Cody Kerr among the boxers. Get your tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com where you can live stream this event as well. Nebraska football plays on Friday, so Saturday is open for you to attend or watch. Doors open at 6 p.m. with first bout at 7 p.m. this Saturday, October 18th. It's Brawloween at the Complex, located at 1555 Yolanda Avenue.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tagged machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Drink locally and support local business during Lincoln's Craft Beer Week, October 11th through the 18th. Great beer, cider, distillates, and more are made right here in Lincoln. For more info, visit lincoln.org/beer-week. Brought to you by Visit Lincoln. Remember to enjoy responsibly.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC. Doing life together.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting lincolnteammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day, because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by A1 Automotive.
That's right. The A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by none other than A1 Automotive. Always honest answers. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, and now 5110 State Hill Drive. About 10 minutes or so to talk Nebraska and Minnesota. Get your final score predictions. Get some more thoughts in on our Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line, 402-464-5685, or on our YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter or Facebook streams, I should say. Also brought to you by the great people at Sartor Heyman Jewelers. To our Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line we go, 7809. Let's always remember this is the youngest team in the Big Ten. I get it. It's certainly something that needs to be said. I think the youth can explain maybe some of Nebraska's, I won't say issues with putting teams away, because it's been the older players or the more experienced players that have stepped up for Nebraska. But Rudy, I mean, you've been through the college athletics grind. By the time you're halfway through your first season, I mean, Jay Foreman would say, I mean, football season is 12 regular season games. By game 6, you're essentially a year older, or you have to find a way to be a year older. Do you think that the youth is an excuse for people? Is it a reason to point to for some of Nebraska's things, or just is what it is?
Yeah, I think to an extent you can kind of put some, not blame like you're saying, but more of like a reasoning behind it on the age thing. But in the same sense, like you're saying, Jay Foreman would be saying as well, like you have the time to adapt. It's not like you've never played football before is what I'm, obviously you're going against guys who have more talent or more elite than what you face in high school. But at the same time, you're here for a reason. You can't just be a fluke D1 athlete in most cases. And so I think like if you're Dylan Raiola, you're QB1 here in Nebraska, like last year, okay, you have the room to grow. Now it's like you got to go a little bit better. And he is, absolutely. But it's like you kind of get that grace maybe your freshman year more than anything. And then after that, depending on your position, depending on how you perform last year, it's like your expectations rise just as they should. Like if you're kind of in the same realm of like, oh, he's making the same issues every single year, it's like then we have an issue. But right now, like I've said, he's still playing young quarterback play in a sense. Like he's still trying to figure out a little bit more. He has some interception turnover, not issues, but things that you want to tighten up for sure. But I think that's more of just not a football problem, but I wouldn't blame that on his age entirely. I think he's playing fine. I think they are a young team, which is a good thing, but I think it's more of a football thing straight up than just, oh, they're too young now. Because like at some point, the age doesn't matter as much as it needs to. But if you're elite, you're elite. And I think they are. So I think they're running out of excuses, which is a good thing, though. So I don't know.
Blake on our YouTube stream, appreciate the question. Not going to necessarily address that one right now. First things first is beating Minnesota and getting to bowl eligibility. J-Max Love, Huskers are due for a few turnovers. I think the defense will get after it. Obviously, turnovers are kind of a buzzword. It's very clearly an important factor in football games. To me, Rudy, I do think it's more important, though, for Nebraska to not commit turnovers than it is to force takeaways. That's what got Nebraska beat 2 years ago in a very similar situation, opening the season up on a Thursday night against Minnesota in Matt Rule's first game at Nebraska. I think there are opportunities for the defense, but more than anything, I'm team offense take care of it right now for Nebraska.
Yeah, you obviously want to come away with some interceptions, fumbles, and absolutely those are keys to winning in every game for sure. But like you're saying, I'd rather have a team that's going to go out there and protect the ball, and I completely agree. It's cool to get those. It's cool to have the interceptions on your stat sheet, but I'm right with you. I'd much rather have my quarterback have 0 than my defense have 1 sometimes. But I agree. I mean, why not have both tonight? Tonight could be the night to have both on a good end. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think you're spot on with that. The other interesting thing I think about this Minnesota-Nebraska matchup is Nebraska's probably the second best team that Minnesota's faced. In fact, I'm pretty comfortable in saying that Nebraska is the second best team Minnesota has seen. 2 weekends ago, they went on the road to play Ohio State, 42-3. That one was all Buckeyes. And then last week, the Golden Gophers hosted Purdue for homecoming, had to come from behind a double-digit deficit and then a late touchdown deficit that they erased to win at 27-20. They beat Buffalo 23-10. Okay. Northwestern State, they beat 66-0 in a game that rain came. They actually called it off, didn't end up playing the final part of the third quarter and the fourth quarter before a road game at Cal in September. This is a Minnesota team that had a bye week between the non-con and conference before they hosted Rutgers. But conference play hasn't exactly been a tour de force for the Gophers, Rudy. A 3-point win over Rutgers where Minnesota scores a late touchdown, and then it takes a snap that goes between the Rutgers quarterback's legs from the shotgun, turning into a 15-yard loss to push him out of field goal range. The game against Ohio State, hard to blame Minnesota for that one. And then a relatively uninspiring performance against Purdue. On the one hand, wins are wins. On the other hand, this is not the Minnesota team that we're used to, and I think it goes to what you said, your point about Nebraska having a golden opportunity, a maroon and golden opportunity, if you will, to snap the 5-game losing skid against the Gophers.
Yeah, I agree. Like you're saying, they're not a team that's kind of doing anything dominantly right now. Like the wins are wins, and that's great, but they're scraping by in a worse fashion than I think Nebraska scrapes by sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are wins that you're kind of like okay, we hopefully pulled it out. Good job. We kind of did that. Versus Nebraska scrapes by, it's like, we wanted you to score more, which is a good thing. But I think I completely agree. Like Ohio State always is number one for a reason. I think they're a great football team. They beat my guys, so I can't say much. But I think in terms of what offenses can do, I think Nebraska should be able to put up a little more than that if they play out their best. Obviously, that's wishing for a lot, but I'm not worried about it. I think the offense is going to perform. I'm really looking forward to see what Emmett Johnson does today. That's going to be something I'm really tuning in on. So I think this is definitely, like we're saying, this isn't the Minnesota team that we should be scared of, but at the same time, Nebraska just has to do what they do well, and I hope they will. So
I think there's a couple ways to judge a quality of a team. Number one is what we've seen from Nebraska and having the ability to go on runs, go on spurts. I mean, the opening salvo against Michigan State, the late salvo then against the Spartans, and then certainly late against Maryland as well. But I think that the next step forward for this program is to beat Minnesota. As you haven't done it in far too long, you have an opportunity in front of you so to do. But then if there's going to be a second step taken in the same night, if you can say that's possible, if Nebraska is the better team, and clearly the better team, to me, the next step is win all 4 quarters. Mm-hmm. Don't give Minnesota that breathing room. Don't give them that life. Maybe it's you win it 7-3, 4 times. You win 4 different quarters, 7-3. Maybe it's, 10-6. Maybe it's 10-7. I don't know. But to me, the next step in the right direction for Nebraska, when you look at things from the standpoint of consistency, and the standpoint of we are clearly better than you and we can prove it for 60 minutes, it's winning the game, obviously play at a time, into drive at a time, into quarter at a time, because Nebraska had the wretched 40 minutes in the middle of Michigan State, had that lull in the third quarter against Maryland. A great step in the right direction that I'm looking to see if Nebraska can and will take tonight is, can Nebraska not only score in all 4 quarters again, like it's done a few times this year, but can Nebraska win all 4 quarters and actually increase its lead on the scoreboard every period?
Yeah, I think that's something that too, like I said earlier, kind of separates the good from the great teams, just like that. Who can put the pressure on them? Who can force you to go out there and say, okay, we're Nebraska. Like you have to beat us at this point, and that's something that, like to your point, we haven't seen entirely this year yet against a team that's worth mentioning realistically. Mm-hmm. And so I think, like you're saying, this is a great opportunity. You're going conference game today. You're on the road, and it's definitely one that they can go out there and put their foot on the gas for, like you're saying, the whole 60 minutes. So it should be, I do hope they come out that intensity too. That'd be a great thing to see for sure.
When it comes down to it, Rudy, in about 3.5 hours, will we be talking about a bowl-eligible Nebraska football team?
I hope so. I believe so. I believe so.
There you have it. I tend to agree. Will Nebraska move to 6-1, or will they look to wrap up bowl eligibility next week against Northwestern here at home? Remains to be seen. I think there's lots of confidence that the Huskers can get it done here tonight. For the whole 93.7 The Ticket crew, this is Austin Orman saying so long. Watch the football game. Come back at halftime. Volleyball post-game. Nebraska currently leads Michigan State 20-11 in the second set in East Lansing. We will have Mandy Monson in the house for volleyball post-game coming up here soon. Here we go. About 10 minutes away from kickoff between Nebraska and Minnesota. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk to you again soon here on The Ticket. Rebar is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice.